Do want to let you know, again, this storm having a lot of impacts here in Central Florida. Some of the theme parks, businesses, schools as well. Many schools are going to be closed on Thursday. Public schools in Orange, Osceola, Brevard, Lake, Marion, Seminole, Volusia counties, they're going to be off on Thursday. Now, many of the schools are also going to be closed on Friday, but that's because of a previously scheduled day off for Veterans Day. Some of the area colleges also seen some impacts here, and they do vary a little bit. UCF's going to be closed tomorrow. You've also got Seminole State College that's going to remain closed through Friday. FAMU students, downtown Orlando, they'll be out the rest of the week. Florida Tech, they're going to have remote classes tomorrow. All events there are canceled through Friday at 5 o'clock. MyNews13.com, we do have the latest on the closings. Meanwhile, Tammy Field says, kids, get the homework done. Even if you don't have homework, you can still learn something.
But right now you need to be in bed, so go to sleep.
Hey, they don't have school tomorrow. They can stay up late a little bit.
It's midnight.
In there.
Today is tomorrow, kiddos.
But Brian was talking earlier. This is also, for a lot of people, a storm like this, it can drive some anxiety and some stress and things like that.
So let your parents worry about it.
Yeah, and that is why the conversations like with Chris and Mallory now, you got to take every storm seriously, but we try to do it in a way where you can understand it and don't be scared, just be prepared.
Yeah, that's right. We have been talking about that the past few days, just preparing for the storm. It's here now, and we're going to be with you throughout the night as conditions get a little bit worse the next few hours.
Yeah, and we just got the latest updates on Nicole. We're going to get hourly updates now, and right now it continues to hold with winds of 75 miles per hour. And this is about now 50 miles to the east-southeast of Fort Pierce. We're likely going to see it make landfall as we head into the overnight hours. We're thinking maybe between about 2 and 4 o'clock in the morning. Southern Brevard County, maybe just to the south of Brevard County there. We have the outer bands already working through, so here's a look at the timing, the latest track, and it'll eventually weaken down into a tropical storm. But regardless of whether it has winds of 70 miles per hour, which would make it a tropical storm, or the winds right now are 75, it's still going to bring the same impacts that we're seeing here across Central Florida.
Yeah, and on Clydestrand 13, we do have those bands that are moving ashore, and I just got an update saying that at Patrick Space Force Base, there was a gust to 62 miles per hour. So that's one of the highest that we have seen. And with some of these bands continuing to roll inland, we'll keep those strong gusty winds along with those heavier showers. And at this point, it looks like the heaviest rain is in Brevard, eastern Seminole, Orange, and Osceola counties.
So now we're going to start to see the rainfall totals kind of increase as we go into the overnight with the heavier bands starting to set up. Right now we don't have a risk for tornadoes, but that could change as we head through the next several hours. This is a look at the wind field of Hurricane Nicole. Now the hurricane force winds of 75 miles per hour, that's in a small area closer to the center of the storm, and they extend out from the center about 25 miles. But that area of yellow that stretches all the way up from South Carolina, even the southern tip of the southeastern portion of North Carolina, down across portions of South Florida, those are tropical storm force winds of 40+ miles per hour. So this has a massive reach here, multi-state reach really along the east coast of Florida, stretching up to the east coast of South and North Carolina. So we're going to continue to watch the winds. We'll break down the hazards and the impacts that we're watching as we head into the overnight coming up a little bit later on. Tammy and Greg?
Mallory and Chris, out of curiosity, do you have easy reach, Mallory? I know you were talking about some of the rivers a short time ago. We're going to Greg Pallone in a moment. He's right there on the Indian River. Have you guys gotten any data to complement what we've been seeing with Greg as far as kind of levels there?
Not along the Indian River at this point. We just did get that alert about the Wekiva River, and we've been keeping an eye on the St. Johns. But as those rivers start to rise, we'll get those updates and, of course, bring them to you. Okay,
thank you, guys. So let's go right kind of what we're talking about with Greg Pallone. He is live for us in Indian River, along the Indian River.
Yeah, in Melbourne.
In Melbourne, in Brevard County. I almost said Indian River County, which is south. But Greg, I mean, really, you're dealing with the water, the wind, the rain.
Yeah, these are the worst conditions that we have seen all evening long, and the O'Galley Pier is where we're at, and this is where the Indian River continues to overflow its banks. You can see the surge of the the waves that are being pushed on by the strong winds. We just did a measurement ourselves here on the ground just a moment ago, and God, that might have beat the one we just did, but we measured 44-mile-an-hour gusts right here on the Indian River at the base of the O'Galley Causeway in southern Brevard County. So you can just see the way the wind is blowing, the way the rain is going sideways. This is getting as intense as it comes. You can taste the salt in the brackish water from the Indian River as it's being blown up here and mixing with the rain. We want to make sure that people know that once you if you are getting out and about, try not to take the causeways here in Brevard County. It's very windy up there, very dangerous. Don't go to the beach right now, especially with it being under the cover of night. We know that there is storm surge. We know that there is high waves and beach erosion taking place, so no need to be there for your safety. Let's get through these overnight hours before we decide to go back out and let the storm pass. But again, the conditions just keep getting worse. It was calmer earlier when we got here in the evening, but now the river here, the Indian River, is overflowing its banks at the O'Galley Pier. We are experiencing some flooding, but hopefully the structures of the restaurant here will not sustain much more damage, but we'll see what the overnight hours bring. Live in Melbourne, Greg Malone, Spectrum News 13.
We know a lot of business owners are keeping their fingers crossed. Thank you so much, Greg. Over to Volusia County now.
Yeah, just a little north of there, where they are also dealing with some of the same effects.
They are. Let's go right out to Dylan Lyons to find out the latest there in New Smyrna Beach.
Good evening, Tammy, Greg. We're certainly starting to see the winds pick up here. We're not really seeing wind gusts anymore because the winds, they're just so strong. They're being consistent throughout the evening. And the past 30 minutes, we've seen stronger wind gusts that have remained consistent. So I wouldn't categorize them really as gusts because they're not getting any stronger. They're just remaining strong throughout the evening. The rain is certainly starting to pick up. As you can tell, the roadway is pretty much clear. Not too many cars on the roadway, if any. We've maybe seen 1 or 2 cars drive down right here along the intercoastal. But again, there is a mandatory curfew in effect for Volusia County. That includes New Smyrna Beach. That went into effect earlier this evening. The water from the intercoastal overflowing onto the roadways. That's one of the major concerns we're seeing here in New Smyrna Beach this evening. We're not seeing too much damage, not seeing anything really down. We are seeing some lights go on and off, flicker on and off. But again, that's really the major things we're seeing here in New Smyrna Beach this evening. We'll continue to keep you updated on the conditions throughout the evening into the early morning hours. Reporting live in New Smyrna Beach, Volusia County, Dylan Lyons, Spectrum News.
All right, Dylan, thank you very much. And again, we are going to be with you all night as we continue to assess Nicole's impact across the state.
We have weather updates for you every 10 minutes with your weather on the ones. Everyone, keep it here. We have crews fanned out across Central Florida to keep you updated. And right now, let's check in with Chris Gilson.
As you saw from Dylan and Greg Pallone, and you could hear those winds really picking up. And just in the past couple of minutes, we've had 2 reports in Brevard County of wind gusts over 60 miles per hour. We'll take a live look at Flash John 13, break down the timing of Nicole's track and impacts when we come back with your weather on the ones.
Central Florida is a community where people quickly become connected with one another.
When you watch your evening news, you'll see a reflection of yourself, your issues, your neighborhood.
And I hope by seeing our stories, people become better informed and inspired to be involved in our communities.
We're stronger together, and I feel lucky to be able to call this home. Join us for your evening news on Spectrum News 13 and on the Spectrum News app.
For exceptional health care for women and their families.
This network solution doesn't feel like it works for mine.
That's accurate. Yeah. Accurate. You're just gonna have to accept it.
Yeah, accept it.
Yeah.
We get it.
I said.
At Spectrum Enterprise, we design solutions around your needs for success on your terms. Because we believe technology only works if it works for you. So go ahead. Be unreasonable.
Has credit card debt got you feeling like you just can't breathe?
We just kept drowning and drowning, swimming in debt.
Whether you're 10, 20, 30, even 50,000 or more in debt, there is a way you can breathe easy again. It starts with a simple phone call to Freedom Debt Relief.
I felt so calm and relieved after talking to them.
Freedom Debt Relief for me was a lifesaver.
Freedom has served over 800,000 people and helped settle over $10 billion in debt. In fact, Freedom guarantees you won't pay a penny unless they can settle your debt and help you save money. How's that for a breath of fresh air?
It just has been a godsend for us.
Call Freedom now so you can breathe easy again.
I am now successfully debt-free.
Freedom Debt Relief was the right choice for me.
Call 1-800-652-7338 now to talk with a certified debt consultant. There's no obligation and no upfront settlement fee. 1-800-652-7338 or go to freedomrelief.com.
Now on this early Thursday, Chris Gilson and Mallory Nichols tracking Hurricane Nicole. As we showed in the live shots just a moment ago, you could hear the wind whipping up, and we've seen those images throughout the night, and that's going to continue to be the case, are these high winds. We've had 2 reports in the Atlantic and also at the Patrick Space Force Base of wind gusts of 62 miles per hour. Now, these are a look at the sustained winds here at the midnight hour, sustained out of the northeast at 35 miles per hour at the airport in Daytona Beach, 21 mile per hour wind in Orlando sustained, and a 35 mile per hour wind in Melbourne. But when you look at the wind gusts, which we're getting those gusts close to 60 miles per hour or above in Melbourne, 59 mile per hour wind gusts at the airport, and in Daytona Beach over 50 miles per hour. So the strongest winds are right along the coast right now. The winds will continue to increase. The center of Nicole is down to the south and east, and we're going to take a look at Clystron 13 radar and showing the center of Nicole. A big eye. It stretches out about 50 miles, and on the northern side of it, we're getting those heavier bands of rain setting up. So the rain has been kind of light to moderate at times throughout most of Wednesday, but now we're getting into the more intense, heavier rain rates here. So the rainfall totals are going to start to add up a bit more, and we're likely looking at 3 to 5 inches of rain in spots with some higher amounts, maybe around 7 to 8 inches. And we are starting to see that heavier rain stretching from Titusville, Rockledge, Satellite Beach, and Melbourne. So everything moving off the Atlantic waters and pushing to the west. So in downtown Orlando and along the I-4 corridor stretching up to Sanford, DeLand, and Deltona, we're now starting to see some of these heavier bands setting up along the I-4 corridor, and the rain also starting to increase in coverage back to our western areas around Ocala, the Villages, Leesburg, Bushnell, and Claremont. You'll start to feel or see some of the heavier rain. Now, we're going to be continuing to watch the winds as we go into Clystron 13. We'll take a look at the winds right now, and we're not seeing any rotation, but we could have maybe an isolated risk for tornadoes as we head into the overnight. As we sample some of these winds just off the east coast, Clystron 13 right off the Space Coast estimating 77 mile per hour winds. Now, that's a little bit higher off the ground, higher up in the atmosphere, but some of these winds will translate down to the surface as we continue to go through the next several hours and Nicole starts to move inland. We're expecting Nicole to make landfall later on this morning, and as it does so, we'll continue with that storm surge threat. We're looking at storm surge along the east coast, 3 to 5 feet or a bit higher than that, and we'll have another high tide cycle as we head toward daybreak on Thursday. So we'll continue to watch that closely. We'll have low tide overnight, but high tide returns as we head toward about 8, 9 o'clock in the morning. Here's another vantage point of Nicole on the satellite and radar. And as we walk you through here on Futurecast, this is going out to noon, kind of jumping ahead a little bit. But it's really, as we head toward about 3, 4 o'clock, that we're looking at the landfall here in southern Brevard County or just to the south. And then notice by noon, the worst weather is starting to pull away, and we'll start to see conditions gradually improve as we go into the evening on Thursday, and then much better weather by Friday and into the weekend. So really, it's between now and as we head into the early afternoon hours that we'll see the greatest impacts. And then by Thursday evening, later on tonight, the storm starts to move out and the winds start to come down, and then we see better weather for the weekend. We'll go through more of the details and the hazards that we're watching with Nicole coming up at 12:21.
All right, Chris Gilson, thank you very much. Yeah, 15 minutes after the new day. So we are on Thursday now, tracking Nicole.
With Nicole.
With Nicole. Let's get to Nicole Griffin live for us in Volusia County here, Daytona Beach downtown area. And again, just over the bridge earlier tonight, you were talking about some of the structural integrity of some of the buildings over there. The sheriff talking about that as well. Fill us in a little bit more about what some of the concerns are just across the bridge on the coast with some of the buildings there.
Greg, that really is what Volusia County officials are keeping a close eye on during this storm. Now, this is made even worse because we just had Ian just about a month and a half ago, which left some buildings with some structural issues right on the coastline over there on the beach side. So now having this another storm right behind it, another hurricane, leaves them very concerned that some of the buildings will just not be able to weather this and it will be unsafe. So yesterday at this point, yesterday afternoon, Volusia County first responders went around door knocking to several of the older apartment buildings and resorts, making sure that people got out and were not trying to ride out the storm in that. Now, just based on what we're seeing here before Nicole makes landfall, it's pretty clear that once the sun rises, we are going to see some significant damage on the beach side, especially in the Shores area, in Ponce Inlet. We've been seeing homes seemingly fall into the ocean almost in those areas. But here in downtown Daytona Beach, the impacts are much less severe. If you take a look here, we are seeing some minor flooding, but nothing too concerning. Some business owners here taking precautions, using sandbags, trying to prevent the water damage that they did see during Hurricane Ian. And if you take a look there over on International Boulevard, you can see some flashing lights. Officers have closed off the bridges, all the bridges in Volusia County heading beachside. It seems you can still get off the beachside as long as the winds do not go over 40 miles an hour, they will let you come over. However, when it comes to driving back that way, they said they are going to need to have inspectors with FDOT come out before they can reopen that bridge, just to make sure it is safe for those that evacuated to return. They do ask that you have your ID with you once it is safe to start crossing over it, because that will be quite a process getting all the evacuees back to their homes so they can see what damage Nicole left them. But for now, reporting live in Daytona Beach, Nicole Griffin, Spectrum News.
Nicole, thank you. And again, what we've been through even the last couple months with Ian and now this storm,
yeah.
There's always a concern too about complacency. And again, every storm is just a little bit different. The flooding's a little bit different, and you know, it's also, you know, trying to pick up the pieces afterwards.
Well, we invite you to keep it right here. We have a team of weather experts tracking the storm. We've got our reporters out too across Central Florida, providing updates around the clock as far as what's happening on the ground.
Marine forecast every hour at 21 past the hour.
The following portion of Spectrum News 13 is brought to you by Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm.
Just take a minute. Look around you. There's history being made. Has been, will be, and it'll be here sooner than you think.
No nonsense for small business means everything you need, nothing you don't. You need speed. Spectrum delivers the fastest internet speeds in the nation. You need to stay connected. They give you Spectrum Business Voice with unlimited long distance and tons of added features. You need outstanding value. Get internet at 600 megabits per second for only $49.99 a month and Business Voice for $19.99 a month. Plus, add Spectrum Mobile for just $29.99 a month. That's everything you need. Now, what don't you need?
Nonsense.
No nonsense. Yes, no contracts. Surprise fees, no added taxes. Get 600 meg internet for only $49.99 and business voice for $19.99. And they throw in the no nonsense for free. Call 833-645-0666 and switch to Spectrum Business today.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. As millions flock to the metaverse, many are experiencing unnecessary pain and suffering, terrible car crashes, frightening trip and falls, and on-the-job injuries. Our army of over 800 attorneys and 4,000 support staff have recovered billions for clients just like you. Injured? Just dial pound law. That's all. Morgan & Morgan, America, and now the universe's largest injury law firm.
Just take a minute. Look around you. There's history being made. Has been, will be, and it'll be here sooner than you think.
Proudly celebrating 25 years as part of the Central Florida community. Spectrum News 13, exclusively on Spectrum.
Hurricane Nicole continues to near our east coast. Out ahead of it, a lot of heavy rain and a lot of gusty winds as we continue to track the storm.
Yeah, that's right. And so far we have gotten wind gusts of over 60 miles per hour, but we're watching a band of rain pushing toward Brevard County that could be the first of some hurricane force winds that are moving toward the east coast.
And right now, the center of Nicole is about 50 miles to the east, southeast of Fort Pierce, and we will likely see landfall as we go into the overnight hours to the south of Brevard County, maybe even in southern Brevard County. So we're going to be watching that, of course, very closely during the overnight hours. And right now, some of the heavy rain setting up along I-4, starting to push a little bit farther to the west. So the rain's going to start to pick up in intensity here in Seminole County and Sanford, Orlando, Kissimmee, even back into our western areas like Lake County, Sumter County, and Marion County. You will start to hear some more of that rain as we go into the overnight. You can see the center of Nicole down into the southeast here, just to the southeast of Brevard County. Around it, we are getting those gustier winds, as Mallory was pointing out, that we could have hurricane force wind gusts potentially into portions of Brevard County. Now, as we sample some of these winds, we're seeing the brighter shades of green here. Some of the wind speeds being estimated around 60 miles per hour. A little bit lower there, a little bit closer to the coast, but we've had wind gust reports over 60 miles per hour within the past hour at the Patrick Space Force Base and also in Indian Atlantic. So we're seeing the strongest winds right along the coast, wind gusts close to 60 miles per hour in Melbourne in the past hour, over 50 miles per hour in Daytona Beach. So embedded within these heavier downpours, we will have that chance for some higher winds as we go through the overnight. We're also watching that tornado risk, but right now we don't have any tornado watches or warnings, but just stay advised during the overnight hours. Have multiple ways to get weather alerts in case we start to see more significant weather increasing as Nicole approaches central Florida. Mallory?
Yeah, and those winds that Chris was pointing out there are out of the northeast. And what happens when you have that northeasterly push of wind against a river that flows south to north, it kind of backs it up. So as we look at the river flooding at this time, we have the St. John's near Astor that's up to a major flood stage again. St. John's near DeLand is in the moderate flood stage, and then near Sanford and above Lake Harney still in the minor flood stage. Hopefully stays that way. We'll have to see how much rain and how strong those winds get over the next few hours. But back on the board here is Little Wekiva River, and that is in the action stage. So it could get into that flooding stage here over the next few hours as the rain continues. And this is the St. John's River at Astor again, back in the major category with the river height here at 4.06 feet. It looks like it may stay in that major stage at least into early on next week.
So unfortunately, this is not what we wanted, Mallory, was to have another situation like this when we saw a lot of improvement over the past several weeks. Since Ian a month and a half ago, the river is starting to come back up. So let's walk you through the other impacts that we're watching here in Brevard County. As we mentioned, the winds are starting to increase. They'll continue to be on the strong side. Could have gusts 65 to 75 plus miles per hour, maybe close to 80 there in portions of Brevard County. We had the storm surge throughout the day on Wednesday. We'll be watching for that storm surge threat as we head toward about 8, 9 o'clock in the morning with our next high tide cycle. Going into Osceola County, looking at 3 to 5 inches of rain. Could also have some stronger wind gusts here too, upwards of 55 to 65 plus miles per hour in Osceola County. Over into Orange County, 2 to 4 inches of rain, maybe a few isolated higher amounts, gusts close to 50 to 60 miles per hour. That includes Orlando, over toward Apopka and up into Winter Park, into Seminole County, into Sanford, Lake Mary, looking at 2 to 4 inches of rain. Wind sustained at 40 to 50 and gusts up to 50 to 60 miles per hour. And then into Lake County, we're looking at 2 to 4 inches of rain, wind gusts around 50 to 60 miles per hour. Back to the west, maybe some lighter rainfall amounts here in Sumter County, but you could also have some gustier winds sustained around 40 to 50 miles per hour with gusts upwards of 50 plus miles per hour. Marion County looking at 2 to 4 inches of rain. It looks like the worst weather will come toward daybreak, lasting into the early afternoon before letting up as we go toward mid-afternoon. And then into Flagler County, storm surge, big concern as we showed you earlier with the earlier images during the daylight, and rainfall of 3 to 5 inches of rain there. Into Volusia County, 2 to 4 inches of rain. Storm surge will be a concern as we head toward the morning hours yet again. High tide right around 8:30 there in Daytona Beach. Gusts up to 50 to 60 plus miles per hour. Now, once we get through this evening, we start to clear out on Friday, and then notice by the weekend, Sunday and Monday, we're looking at highs back into the mid-70s. Tammy and Greg.
Thank you, Chris. Well, we know that there are thousands of utility crews that are on standby at this very hour to respond after Hurricane Nicole rolls through.
Joining us now is Anna Gibbs, spokeswoman for Duke Energy, and really appreciate your time this early hour. We are talking about thousands of folks on standby. Talk with us about what resources beyond the personnel, what resources are also staged in the area to help restore power quickly after the storm passes through.
So right now we have about 5,000 folks that are come from across the country. They are staged all across Central Florida. That includes in Polk County, in Mount Dora, in the villages, even in Fayetteville and airport. And they are ready to respond as soon as it's safe to do so across Central Florida to get the power back on as safely and quickly as possible.
Now we know the number for outages right now are pretty low, somewhat 1,600. Is that correct?
That's right, Tammy. Right now we have about 1,600 customers out. The majority of those are between Seminole County and Orange County, about 800 in Orange, about 600 in Seminole. But of course, as that storm sweeps through the state from east to west, the numbers are of course going to increase. And right now, from just the evening storms that have come across the state, we actually have already restored about 10,000 customers that we've been able to get just through the last few hours and those bands that have we've experienced. So about 10,000 customers have been able to come back on just within this evening.
What kind of advice do you have for people who may lose their power in the next few hours and they're frantically calling and thinking perhaps crews are going to come out while this storm is bearing down on us?
So a couple of things. First of all, safety comes first. So you've been reporting flooding and how the ground is saturated already. So the most important thing is if you're in an area that is likely to experience flooding, water and electricity do not mix. It's safest for you to go ahead and proactively actually turn off the electricity. You can find your main breaker in the garage, and by shutting off power, not only does it protect your family, if you don't want to be in standing water or your home is energized, but by turning off that electricity, you're protecting your property. If you keep the electricity on with rising water, you're increasing the possibility that you can have an electrical. So that's really an important safety step. Additionally, also important to recognize that our bucket trucks cannot respond until the winds die down below 30 miles per hour. Our buckets can't fly until that wind is below 30 miles per hour. But we assure you, we do have resources that are literally already standing by in the areas I mentioned, and they will respond when it's safe to do so.
Anna Gibbs, thank you so much for your time from Duke Energy. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Well, we are hopeful that power outages remain fairly low. At this point, statewide, about 23,000 as the conditions continue to worsen. You look in here, video a short time ago, Lake Monroe in Sanford in Seminole County. And so, again, it's not just the coast like Brevard and Volusia where we've been showing you, but from Osceola, Orange, Seminole County. Spectrum News 13's Yvette Bourgeois in the elements, getting a look at the conditions here.
The power of Hurricane Nicole, we're feeling that right now. This is Lake Monroe. Look how choppy the water is. The conditions are so rough right now, and we're just beginning to feel the effects. We're about 25 minutes from downtown Orlando. That way is I-4. We saw some ponding on the roadways, but really, the force of this hurricane is being felt right now, and this is an area already battered about 6 weeks ago by Hurricane Ian. That way is an assisted living facility, also some restaurants and so many businesses. Everybody's indoors, but again, the conditions continue to worsen as the water is coming over the walls. I tell you what, that's the very latest from Sanford. Yvette Bourgeois, Spectrum News.
All right, and Yvette is actually going to be out here on the anchor desk as soon as she dries off, so you'll get to hear from her kind of painting the picture too about the conditions that she saw out there.
Curtis McLeod also coming in a short bit, but all of attention right now also on Chris Gilson and Mallory Nichols as we are tracking. Has it officially made landfall at this point, or is the eye still kind of offshore?
Yeah, no official landfall at this point, but it is getting very close, and we are starting to see wind gusts really pick up. Just got a report from the Indian Atlantic at a 70-mile-an-hour wind gust.
Yeah, so we're going to see some of those winds getting close to hurricane force gusts potentially. That's pretty close. Hurricane force winds start at 74 miles per hour, so not too far away there, unfortunately, in Brevard County. So the winds are going to continue to pick up as we see the eye, the center of Nicole, getting closer to the east coast, just off to our east and southeast, moving to the west and northwest right now. Still a Category 1 hurricane, winds of 75 miles per hour, but the winds, the hurricane force winds, are in a smaller area. The tropical storm force winds of 40 miles per hour and higher extend farther away from the center, so this storm is going to have far-reaching impacts. And here's a look at some of those wind gusts that we have on the board right now. Of course, we've had that higher report of a wind gust there in Brevard County of 70 miles per hour. At Melbourne, 47 mile per hour wind gusts. In Orlando, 31. Strongest winds right along the coast, but some of these winds will start to pick up too for areas a little bit farther west along the I-4 corridor. As we take you into Clystron 13, you can see those heavier bands starting to increase along I-4 and stretching back to our east coast, Mallory.
Yeah, that's right. And we are watching the strongest of the winds moving ashore. And if some of that activity hits the coast and it spins up an isolated tornado, that's usually a possibility with a hurricane that is moving inland. So we're also going to keep an eye on that for you over the next several hours. Tammy and Greg.
All right, Mallory and Chris, really appreciate that. So we saw Yvette a moment ago in Seminole County. Let's go back out to the coast.
Let's go to Greg Pallone. He is live in Melbourne for us, right along the Indian River. What are the conditions like where you are? Because they did not look good the last time we checked in with you.
Yeah, the wind and rain is relentless as these bands continue to come in. The Indian River here at the O'Galley Pier has overflowed its banks, and the water continues to kind of pour out. We are in an area, though, that the drainage is kind of good, so fortunately we're not seeing any flooding in this immediate area, but there is Squid Lips Restaurant, which is right here. Their beach is being flooded at this time. The Melbourne Library is right here. The O'Galley Library and there is some low-lying property there, so we'll have to see how all that fares out. But again, you can kind of see these bands continue to pour in, and the rain, again, is relentless. The wind is relentless. We know there is lots of beach erosion taking place at the beaches over on the barrier islands here in Brevard County. And again, the surf is just pounding the area. So again, just washout conditions as we're after midnight here, as things are continuing to deteriorate and get worse. So again, we'll just have to see how things fare as we move further into the overnight hours and, of course, after daylight. Reporting live in Melbourne, Greg Pallone, Spectrum News 13.
And Greg, I want to ask, because you've been talking about some of the erosion kind of throughout the night, morning here. What's some of the concern? Because you were starting to talk a little bit earlier. Brevard County, it's one of these processes. They come in, they kind of rebuild the dunes and add more sand, and then it gets washed away, and so it's kind of a never-ending task.
Yeah, Brevard County spends a lot of time, a lot of money on renourishing the beaches out here, not just for the tourist aspect or the locals, the economic impact and tourism, but also, too, to protect these beachfront properties from falling literally over into the ocean. So we'll see how the latest renourishment is going to, how effective it's going to be. The south beaches, typically in some of these storms, down toward Melbourne Beach and Sebastian Inlet, really take a pounding many times, and a lot of those properties, unfortunately, are at risk, but there are still some as we get another gust that just keeps on happening. But we'll see how they fare with this latest beach erosion renourishment project and the erosion that is happening right now.
Something to watch. Greg Pallone and photojournalist John Shaban live for us tonight
Get to
in Brevard
safety for a
County.
moment.
Really appreciate it.
Yes.
Let's go a little north in Volusia County. Spectrum News 13's Nicole Griffin and photojournalist Arnie Gerard are live for us with a little bit of a different interior perspective.
Yes, good morning. We are here on Beach Street in downtown Daytona Beach, where it is just nonstop wind and rain right now. It is a lot better, though, compared to what we were seeing just a few hours ago, just over the bridge on the other side of the Halifax River in Daytona Beach shores in that area. That was very intense. We were already starting to see some damage there. That's where officials are most concerned about structural integrity of some of the older apartment buildings there. We know of at least 5 that were evacuated yesterday afternoon, with officials going door to door making sure people got out. Now, because of Ian coming through this area just 6 weeks ago and bringing so much wind and so much rain, that caused some damage. So it is concerning to have Hurricane Nicole just a couple weeks later, when they haven't gotten a chance to really recover from that just yet. And just to give you an idea of what we're seeing out here on Beach Street and just how much rain we're seeing, take a look at this storm drain. It is full to the top, and every time a new wind gust comes through, we're seeing water pour out here onto the sidewalk, and it is causing a little bit of flooding here in downtown Daytona Beach, but so far nothing that should hurt the businesses like we saw with Hurricane Ian. So good news there. For now, live in Daytona Beach, Nicole Griffin, Spectrum News.
Nicole, thank you. Much more still to come. I mean, the storm not even making landfall, so we know the impact is only going to elevate from there.
We have weather updates for you every 10 minutes with your weather on the one, so make sure that you keep it here. We are continuing to monitor Hurricane Nicole's impact right here on Spectrum News 13. Right now, let's check in with Chris Gilson for the latest track.
Winds continue to increase, getting closer to hurricane-force wind gusts in Brevard County as the eye of Nicole nears our east coast. We'll have the latest timing. We'll take a live look at Clystron 13, show you where the heaviest rain is falling when we come back.
For over 40 years, Alpazar Law has been the name Brevard trusts for help after a car crash. Contact us today to discuss your case. Alpazar Law, we're here for you.
Junk sleep got you all jumbled up? During Mattress Firm's Veterans Day sale, save up to 60% on Sealy with queen mattresses starting at $279.99. Or shop Tempur-Pedic and get 0% interest for 72 months only at Mattress Firm.
Hey, man, are you Alpocalypse 423?
Yeah.
What's the deal? You got me running all over the place, day and night.
Oh, I have Spectrum now. Fastest Wi-Fi speeds around.
Oh, that's cool. How about we just pump the brakes, though, now and again? This thing's like 2,000 pounds. You want to hold it?
Yes, I do.
Well, you can't, because it'll rip your arms right out of your body. And then how are you going to play your game?
I'm sorry, it's just really, really fast.
But if I just split your house in half with my Warhammer?
It still works out here, so it's pointless.
Spectrum One delivers the fastest Wi-Fi speeds in the nation. That's game-changing speed. That's Spectrum One.
At Bears Furniture, shop the brands you love for less during our Veterans Day sale. Save 40% plus an extra 10% store-wide, including 10% off all Lexington products. Plus, Bears salutes all veterans with free in-home delivery, like this gorgeous loft bed, only $8.98. Or relax in the living room of your dreams with this luxurious leather sectional at the guaranteed lowest price. We have thousands of items in stock and ready for holiday delivery through Sunday only. Where? Bears.
Very different people, very different medical conditions, who all have one thing in common. They choose to live life to the fullest. And at Orlando Health, our team of experts deliver award-winning care so you can do just that. Orlando Health. Choose well.
Junk sleep got you all jumbled up? During Mattress Firm's Veterans Day sale, save up to 60% on Sealy with queen mattresses starting at $279.99. Or shop Tempur-Pedic and get 0% interest for 72 months, only at Mattress Firm.
For Spectrum customers.
Attractions Insider, a weekly Spectrum News podcast with the inside scoop on your favorite Florida attractions. Available now on the Spectrum News app.
12:41, tracking Hurricane Nicole with Mallory Nichols. I'm meteorologist Chris Gilson. Nicole continues to move toward our east coast, and we're starting to see the rain really pick up in Brevard County, even portions of Orange County stretching into Volusia County. That's a live look at Clystron 13. Just take a look at the eye of Nicole, which is down to the south and east of Port St. Lucie. It is 63 miles wide, and then on the northern side of it, the northwestern side of it, we're getting those bands of heavy rain setting up. Embedded within these bands are some high winds, and we've now gotten reports of wind gusts up to 70 miles per hour in the Atlantic. So that's getting close to hurricane force wind gusts, which start at 74 miles per hour. Earlier this evening, we also had wind gusts well over 60 miles per hour in portions of Brevard County. So the winds will continue to increase as some of these heavier bands of rain set up. We're also seeing some of that heavier rain stretching into Flagler County. Along the coast there in Flagler County, Palm Coast, Flagler Beach, Daytona Beach, you're picking up some steadier rain now. We're looking at pockets of heavier rain in portions of Seminole County, just to the south and east of Sanford. But really the focus for most of the rain at this point, at least the really heavy stuff, is in Rockledge, Satellite Beach, Melbourne, and Mitco. And all this activity is going to be kind of pinwheeling around the center of Nicole, kind of expanding a little bit farther to the west. So around Orlando, Kissimmee, and the attractions, we're starting to pick up on some of the heavier activity, and this will continue to kind of spread farther to the west. Now we're going to go in and take a look at the winds. We do have an isolated tornado risk at this point. We haven't seen anything that has tried to rotate by any means, but there is that chance as we go through the next several hours. We don't have any watches or warnings for tornadoes at this point. We're taking a look at the wind samples here because, as I mentioned, we're getting closer to those hurricane force wind gusts in portions of Brevard County, and you can see why here on Clystron 13. It's estimating that those winds just to the east of Melbourne, to the northeast of Melbourne, right around 80 miles per hour potentially. That's a little bit higher off the ground, higher up in the atmosphere, but some of these stronger winds will start to translate down to the surface. So we could have those wind gusts close to 70, 80 miles per hour in portions of Brevard County as Nicole's center continues to near. So we're going to continue to watch this heavy rain increase over the next several hours, maybe that potential for an isolated tornado as Nicole continues to move to the west and northwest. Right now it's a Category 1 hurricane with winds of 75 miles per hour, but the hurricane force winds are this little tiny area and they only extend out 25 miles. We're seeing the shade of yellow. Those are tropical storm force winds that stretch from Charleston, South Carolina, all the way down toward the Fort Myers area at nearly 500 miles. That's how far those tropical storm force winds extend out. Here's a look at some of those wind gust reports that we've gotten in so far over the past couple of hours. Sebastian Inlet up to 66 miles per hour. New Smyrna Beach reporting a 60-mile-per-hour wind gust. So right along the coast in Volusia County and Brevard County, that's where we're finding the highest winds. Sanford, Orlando, we're looking at those winds gusting over 30 miles per hour, as you saw from Beth Bruce there at Lake Monroe in Sanford. Those winds were whipping up, so we'll have some of those higher winds here along the I-4 corridor. So let's walk you through the timing here on the approach of Nicole. So this is beginning basically right now as we head toward 2 o'clock. We're looking at it making landfall in southern Brevard County or just to the south of Brevard County, and then those heavier bands of rain continuing to expand. So we'll see the rain totals kind of add up as we go towards sunrise on your Thursday. By Thursday afternoon, the heavier activity may focus off to the north and west of I-4 into portions of Flagler, Marion, and into Sumter counties. And then as we head into the evening, by 9 o'clock, we'll still likely have some wind, but it's not going to be nearly as intense. And the rain will start to let up and we'll start to clear things out a bit as we head into your Friday. So really, it's between now and about mid to late morning that we'll see the greatest impacts here across Central Florida. And then as we go into Thursday evening, Nicole pulls away. We start to settle things down a bit for Friday, and the weekend is looking a lot calmer. We'll take a look at that extended forecast. We'll go through more of the impacts coming up in less than 10 minutes.
All right, Chris, thank you. And Mallory there as well. Tammy Fields taking a bit of a break here, but Curtis McLeod, good to have you slide in and joining us here. Beth Bruzol is going to be in a short bit as well.
She will be, and good to be here with you, Greg. It feels like deja vu. We were just here a couple of months ago talking about the same thing.
Yeah, really weeks ago, and now right here in the middle of November. A lot of folks kind of forget, thinking the first of November is when hurricane season ends. But a lot of folks have been keeping busy, especially along the coast in Volusia County, one of those areas. Want to bring in Volusia County Fire Rescue Battalion Chief Scott Smoke. Really appreciate your time. We were talking with some of your fire rescue counterparts earlier this evening. What are you seeing from your perspective, just as far as calls for service and reports of impact from this storm so far?
Well, good morning. The only thing we're seeing right now is kind of normal calls. We are really concerned about when daybreak happens, when people start waking up and they're getting curious at what's happening outside, that we're going to start getting a lot more calls. And we're really asking people to make sure they stay home. If they don't need to be on the road, please don't be on the road. And that's our big concern there for safety aspect of it. And we're watching the surf in reference to the erosion on the beaches. And then, of course, with the surges of the high tide that could be coming up around 8:30 to 9 o'clock today, that's our big concern on that, especially on the beach side of our county.
And some of the impacts with the erosion that y'all have been seeing in recent times, even with Ian, how much of a setback has that been, and why is that a concern at this point?
Well, all of our dunes are being washed away, which a lot of our buildings are built right on along the beach side itself, and so we've had to evacuate several buildings, yesterday and through the evening. And our concern is, for everybody's safety. And, of course, everybody knows driving on the beach here in Volusia is a pretty big thing for us. And now we're not going to be able to have that in the future for people to drive on the beach because of the damage of the buildings that's there.
And, Chief, I know you had talked a little bit about one of your biggest concerns being people getting out and about. I mean, talk to me a little bit about, I guess, kind of some other concerns that you all may have right now at this point with the assumption that most people may be inside of their homes.
Well, our big concern, of course, is people driving on the road, especially during the winds, power lines coming down, trees that possibly come down because of already saturation of the ground. Now with the additional rainfall that we're getting and the wind that's going to be there, trees be falling, power lines coming down because of the wind. And so we're really concerned about that kind of stuff. And people on the east side of our county along the beach side, erosion from the roads and stuff like that are close to the beach itself.
In there. Well, we've got a long night to go. Battalion Chief Scott Smoke with Volusia County Fire Rescue, really appreciate your time and insight. Thank you very much. We will be keeping tabs with you.
We definitely will be throughout the rest of the evening. I want to go ahead now and send things to Dylan Lyons, who is live in New Smyrna Beach. You know, he's been talking throughout the evening into the morning with us here. Want to see what you're seeing out there right now, Dylan. How are things looking?
Well, good morning, Curtis and Greg. Yeah, what we're seeing out here in New Smyrna Beach is things really aren't changing that much from our vantage point. Winds have remained pretty strong. The rain's still coming down at a consistent pace here in the area. We're on the mainland side. We were on the coastal side earlier this evening, but we did eventually move just because we weren't sure when those bridges were going to close down. The causeways were remaining open as of the 10 o'clock hour this late yesterday evening. But there was only one lane open, and you can only get over the bridge if you were going from eastbound to westbound. No eastbound traffic was able to go over the bridge to the coastline, and we're seeing some lights go out here. We're seeing some flooding from the intercoastal over onto the roadway. Those are the main things we're seeing here in New Smyrna Beach this morning here, and we're not seeing a lot of cars on the roadway. We've seen maybe one or two, but police have done a great job of monitoring the roadways to make sure people stay hunkered down and stay in their homes and don't drive on the roadways. As we just heard, it's not a lot of knowns right now, especially with darkness. So you want to stay home, stay hunkered down, and follow the mandatory evacuation and mandatory curfew that was put out by Volusia County officials. But for now, reporting live in New Smyrna Beach, Volusia County, Dylan Lyons, Spectrum News.
Dylan, thank you. And again, that Volusia County curfew in effect as of 7 p.m. until 7 a.m.
Wow, kind of talk about a long time there. People have to kind of just monitor and wait and see what happens. And right now, joining us to give you a little bit more insight of where things stand, certified meteorologist Chris Gilson, along with Mallory Nichols as well, to give us an update where things stand right now. You all, walk us through where things stand with this thing right now.
As we saw there from Dylan's live shot, the winds, that is one of the biggest impacts, biggest concerns at this point, as we're getting those wind gusts clocking over 60 miles per hour, upwards of 70 miles per hour, and that's going to have a lot of impacts.
Yeah, that's going to stick around for the next several hours. So we do want to show you the county power outages at this point. Have been starting to see this number unfortunately tick up just a bit, and you can see we're getting those power outages for Brevard up into Volusia and Flagler County at this time, and it's only a few hundred for Volusia, Flagler, about 2,000 for Brevard County, but now is when we're starting to see some of those stronger winds at this point, and it will continue for the next several hours.
Hurricane Nicole, still a Category 1 hurricane with winds of 75 miles per hour. It's not going to strengthen anymore. It's going to hold this status as a Category 1 hurricane as it makes landfall, and around it those winds coming out of the east and northeast. So we've had those high winds of 60 to 70 miles per hour, especially along the coast in Volusia and Brevard counties. The wind's not as strong along I-4, but gusting over 30, upwards of 40 miles per hour at times here along the I-4 corridor. The winds here with the storm, with Nicole, even though it is a Category 1 hurricane with winds of 75 miles per hour, those hurricane force winds are really closer to the center, where you're seeing that shade of red. That's where we have the hurricane force winds, which extend out 25 miles. But in yellow, that's the tropical storm force winds. So we're looking at tropical storm force winds stretching from all the way from southeastern North Carolina, Charleston, South Carolina, southeast Georgia, down toward Fort Myers. That extends out 485 miles. So Nicole has far-reaching impacts, just not here in central Florida. Of course, we're getting the brunt of the wind and the heavy rain right now. And with a look at the rain in Clystron 13, let's go back over to Mallory.
Yeah, thanks. And we're tracking some of those stronger bands that have been pushing ashore in parts of Brevard County, and we have seen some higher wind gusts as well that Chris will bring you in just a moment. But I do want to take you in a bit closer here. I'll stop this loop, and the heaviest of the rain is in northeastern Osceola County, up into eastern Orange County and central and southern Brevard County. That's where we had those oranges, even up to reds that are sliding inland. But I want to check out the wind. We're going to keep an eye on these winds because not only do they tell us how strong they are, but where we might have that potential for rotation that I haven't seen yet. That's the good news. But in southern Brevard County, seeing some potential gusts over 70 miles per hour, and this is into southern Osceola County as well. And these are the brighter reds we're seeing with that wind going away from the radar, and then a little bit closer to the east coast, the winds coming toward the radar out of the northeast. We have those gusts that are over 50 miles per hour. Now I want you to look offshore. This is where we have some of those higher winds that is pushing toward the east coast. There will be some stronger wind gusts for sure over the next several hours as those bands continue to move ashore. And I do have to say the eye wall of Hurricane Nicole is getting very close to moving inland. It's not until the center pushes inland, though, that we get the official landfall, but still areas along the east coast are going to be dealing with high winds here for quite some time.
Yeah, we're getting close to landfall, so this will likely happen between 2 and 4 in the morning. We're thinking at this point. Before then, though, we are looking at the heavy rain and the winds. This is a look at the wind gusts at this time. 45 miles per hour at the Daytona Beach Airport, over 60 miles per hour in Melbourne. You can see those winds gusting over 30 miles per hour in Orlando and Sanford, and some lower wind gusts there in Ocala and Leesburg, under 30 miles per hour. But those wind gusts as high as 70 miles per hour just within the past hour in Indian Atlantic. Sebastian Inlet, 66 mile per hour wind gusts. Patrick Space Force Base, 62 mile per hour wind gusts. In New Smyrna Beach, where our Dylan Lyons is, which we just showed you a moment ago, his live shot, winds gusting upwards of 60 miles per hour. So as we go through the afternoon and evening, we'll start to see Nicole pull away, and behind it conditions will improve, and those winds will come down as we head into Friday. Saturday staying warm, highs into lower 80s, but much cooler as we head into next week with temperatures into the 70s by Sunday and Monday. We'll have the very latest on Nicole. We'll get another update here on the positioning of Nicole coming up at the top of the hour. Curtis and Greg.
All right, Mallory and Chris, thank you. And again, landfall, looking for that here in the short time when, you know, half the eye actually makes it over. So we are continuing coverage with Mallory and with Chris, plus our live reporters out in the field.
Yeah, we've got full team coverage here for you on Spectrum News 13. Coming up at the top of the hour, of course, you want to stay with us right here as we continue to cover Hurricane Nicole.
The expert injury attorneys at Todd Minor Law are proud supporters of our local community. Now, here's a look at some great upcoming events.
There's never been a better time to get away. With a great deal on the Hyundai you've always wanted. With America's best warranty and up to 3 years complimentary maintenance. It's your journey. Own every mile at the Hyundai Getaway Sales Event. Hurry in to get our best deals of the season. Get in and get away.
Get a Santa Fe with $1,250 bonus cash and 0 payments for 90 days. Plus, get $1,000 relief cash for those affected by Hurricane Ian.
Very different people. Very different medical conditions. Who all have one thing in common. They choose to live life to the fullest. And at Orlando Health, our team of experts deliver award-winning care so you can do just that. Orlando Health. Choose well.
Just take a minute. Look around you. There's history being made. Has been. Will be. How can there not? Just something about those blue skies, high banks, and high speed, all coming together in one perfect race. And it'll be here sooner than you think.
When your holiday guests bring their endless appetites, Kroger Delivery will make your dollars stretch further with great prices on your favorite holiday foods. With Kroger's refrigerated trucks and professional drivers, it won't be a stretch to get the groceries you need. So this season, stock up with Kroger Delivery so your celebration can keep going and going. And going. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
Hurricane Nicole is making its way towards Central Florida.
An area still recovering from Hurricane Ian, now faced with another named storm.
Our weather experts and news crews are here to help you weather the storm throughout the night.
And we are keeping you informed so you can be prepared, not scared.
I want to welcome you right now back to Spectrum News 13's live team coverage of Hurricane Nicole. I'm Curtis McLeod.
And I'm Greg Angel. It is now 1 in the morning on this Thursday. We are continuing to track the storm's progress and the impacts across Central Florida.
Yeah, 24 hours ago, our crews, of course, covering Florida's general election, myself on the campaign trail. Now, of course, they're stationed in multiple locations along the Florida Peninsula. We're keeping an eye out for everything the storm may bring, from potential flooding to wind damage, keeping you covered with the latest from the storm's worst impact.
Well, let's begin this 1 a.m. hour with our weather experts, Mallory and Chris, standing by. So not officially making landfall yet. Put into context for us the positioning of the storm with where we are and the path and what that means for the intensity of the impact, because you know it's better to be on one side of the storm than the other, right?
Yeah, we're getting the brunt of the storm right now with all the wind and the rain starting to pick up here across the area. We've had those wind gusts. We got another wind gust report up to 64 miles per hour. We had a wind gust up to 70 miles per hour in Indian Atlantic. So we're getting close to those hurricane force wind gusts, and that would likely occur in southern Brevard County and Osceola County, Mallory.
Yeah, that's right. And as we look at the latest stats, they just came in here. Wind speeds haven't changed much. Still a weaker Category 1 hurricane with winds of 75 miles per hour. But don't clue into that word weaker by any means, because we're still dealing with the strong winds and the heavy bands, and will continue to do so over the next several hours. Now, Hurricane Nicole is expected to make landfall within the next 2 hours along the east coast of Florida, slide inland, and it will weaken as it does so, finally pulling away from the area as we head into Thursday evening. But right now we are seeing some stronger gusts in Brevard County, where you see that purple up into Volusia and even into Orange and Osceola County. We do have the potential for gusts over 60 miles per hour. That number has picked up quite a bit and will continue to do so as the center of circulation gets closer to us.
And there is Nicole's eye. It's down to the south and east of Melbourne. So this is moving to the west and northwest at around 14 miles per hour. It's a big eye, center of storm. It's basically 60 to 70 miles approximately wide. So we're going to be watching this make its approach as we go through the next couple of hours. And of course, on the northern side of it, we're looking at those bands of rain coming in onshore. And then with some of this rain, we're going to have those wind gusts over 50, 60, upwards of 70 miles per hour, if not a little bit higher. We're also going to be watching for the risk of tornadoes, but right now we don't have an overall concern for that at this point. We're not seeing anything rotating. We don't have any watches or warnings as far as it goes with tornadoes, but that is something that we'll be watching closely as well as we go through the overnight and into the early morning. Greg and Curtis?
All right, Chris, Mallory, thank you so much. Nicole's bands are whipping the Atlantic coast. Officials stressing everyone should stay away from the area's beaches.
For sure. Greg Pallone and photojournalist John Shaban joining us live. They are kind of on the inland side right at the Indian River, at the Ogali Pier. And Greg, this storm moving north-northwest, the eye getting closer to where you're at, and probably in the next few hours, you're going to be feeling the storm even more.
Yeah, not ideal conditions out here at all. Still significant wind and rain taking place as we're here at the Ogali Pier in Melbourne, and the Indian River has flooded its banks and overflown its banks due to this strong wind and currents that are taking place here with all of the wind and rain, and it continues. It's relentless. It will not let up, and it continues to just bear down on the coastline. We know that the beaches over in the barrier islands are getting hammered as well with these this surge and these strong surf and wind and rain, and we know also too that there is significant beach erosion that is taking place as we speak, and we'll only know exactly the amount and just how significant it is until the daylight hours. But again, just terrible conditions out here right now. Strong winds, just a constant pounding of the coastline, including some of the inland areas where we are. So again, we're going to be monitoring this in the overnight hours, and we'll see exactly just how much problems and damage that Nicole caused as the light comes in the morning. Reporting in Melbourne, Greg Pallone, Spectrum News 13.
Greg, if I can hold you for just a moment there in the storm. I mean, you have lived in Brevard County for many years. You have covered Brevard County for many years and have been through a number of these storms. And I'm just curious about your context and perspective about what you're seeing, especially at the Indian River, how it compares to other storms. And, times change, environments change, and what are your perspectives about the impact of this storm, especially with Ian barely in the rearview mirror? Yeah, as you can tell with the wind, it is hard to hear out there. But Greg, any insight about the impacts from this storm compared to past?
Insight on the storm. Well, this is pretty significant. I've been through 15 years of storms here, including hurricanes, tropical storms. This one seems to be more of a wind and rain event. We'll see just how long it lasts, too. We know we had storms like back in 2008 with Tropical Storm Faye that basically went over us, came back, parked on us for days, and left lots of rain. With this one, hopefully it'll move a bit faster once it makes landfall, and then make its way across the peninsula and get out of the way, and we'll just have some minor flooding. But we do know there's going to be, and is happening as we speak, some major beach erosion. So we'll see how it compares with storms of the past.
Greg, really appreciate it. John as well. It's a tough job you guys have out there, so thank you very much.
Definitely so, and I can definitely see the wind whipping around out there. Ooh.
And we know it's hard to hear out there.
It is. Over to Volusia County now. One of the concerns has been structures already damaged during Hurricane Ian and how they'll hold up, to the storm that's hitting right now. Dylan Lyons is live in New Smyrna Beach for us this morning. And Dylan, if you could tell us, what are you seeing out there right now? I know that we can hear the wind howling out there.
Well, good morning, Curtis and Greg. We were over on the beach just a few hours ago, and one thing we noticed there, the waves were coming right up to the stairs that take you down to the beach. So there was really no shoreline left. They were coming right up to the seawall. The seawall is really eroding there. Not seeing really much there, but back here on the coastal side, the intercoastal side, as you can tell, it might be hard. The wind, though, is one of the main concerns here. The wind and the rain, as Greg Pallone mentioned earlier, won't let up here in New Smyrna Beach. It's remained consistent through the past 2 hours or so, and the intercoastal is now flooding over onto the streets. That's one of the main things we noticed when driving around. So we'll continue to keep you updated on the conditions here in New Smyrna Beach throughout the morning into the early morning hours. Reporting live in New Smyrna Beach, Volusia County, Dylan Lyons, Spectrum News.
Dylan, thank you. Volusia County, just a handful of power outages there, so that is something so far looking good. We got power outages damages, impact, we're going to keep tracking.
Absolutely.
Will Robinson-Smith, we're in Titusville. We'll check in with him a little bit. We got a lot more still to go here this morning.
We do, and we continue to have our teams across the region here as we continue to bring you the updates on Hurricane Nicole as it inches ever so close to Central Florida.
Much more as we continue here on this Thursday morning on Spectrum News 13. Mallory Nichols also tracking this storm.
Yeah, I'll have the latest wind gusts that we've seen across the area, plus a look at the track and how long conditions will stay pretty strong for you. All coming up here very soon.
Spectrum News 13 is brought to you by Bogan Munns & Munns. When it comes to your injury case, you have a choice. Bogan Munns & Munns.
I can't believe Lazy Boy has interior designers and you work your magic for free. It's what we do. Perfect.
Lazy Boy. Live life comfortably.
Two things you can always count on with hurricane season. Every hurricane is different.
Vicetron 13 actually able to pick up on those out of rain bands.
And the Spectrum News 13 weather experts will always keep you ahead of the storm.
We are monitoring 2 disturbances in the Atlantic.
Tracking storms coast to coast with the fastest and most detailed information, plus the context you need to be prepared. The weather experts only on Spectrum News 13, keeping you safe this hurricane season on your television and on the go with the Spectrum News app.
Do you have $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Maxed out on your credit cards? Constantly worried about how you're going to make your monthly payments? If so, we have an urgent message for you. Freedom Debt Relief can help you lower your monthly payments, reduce how much you owe, and help you get out of debt in as little as 24 to 48 months. Do not spend another minute stressing over how to pay your credit card bills. To find out how much you could save, go to freedomdebtrelief.com or call the number on your screen. Our team of experts are standing by to take your call. Freedom Debt Relief has helped over 500,000 customers just like you to take back control of their life.
After a year, my first credit card was paid off, then the second, then the third. And I thought, oh my God, this is going to work.
The bigger your debt, the more money you could save.
Call 1-800-638-0432 to start eliminating your debt now. That's 1-800-638-0432.
Lazy Boy has so many designs and colors because they know style isn't always black and white. Or maybe it is. Lazy Boy. Live life comfortably.
A new start awaits at your Central Florida Acura dealers today. Acura of Melbourne, Fountain Acura, AutoNation Acura North Orlando, Jenkins Acura.
Welcome back to your Weather on the Ones. Meteorologist Mallory Nichols here with meteorologist Chris Gilson and Maureen McCann, taking you through the early morning hours with the impacts that are being felt from Hurricane Nicole. And as we check out the wind extent, this has been really the big story with this storm. While the winds are still just off to the south and east of us, the extent of those tropical storm force winds are so far out. In fact, 485 miles from the center. We've got pretty much all of Florida up into parts of Georgia and South Carolina, a small portion around Wilmington and North Carolina that are dealing with tropical storm force wind gusts at this point. So a massive storm that is continuing to advance in our direction. And actually, as we check out the wind gusts at this time, I've been seeing the number in Brevard County tick up as some of those higher gusts move ashore. And right now sitting with wind gusts at 60 in Melbourne, 41 in Sanford, 45 for Daytona Beach, even 46 in Orlando. A little bit quieter as you travel closer to the Gulf Coast, but that storm is pushing off to the northwest. So it looks like all of Central Florida, those winds are going to be picking up over the next several hours. And not only do we have those stronger winds, but we've got some heavy rain bands that are rolling through as well. Klystron 13 showing some of those heavier showers in orange down in Osceola County over to Brevard County. And it's just going to continue to wrap around that center and move ashore. I want to drop this a little bit to the south here. Now notice the very extreme western parts of this eye wall are actually very close to the east coast. It's not until the center moves inland that we have that official landfall, but regardless, and we're looking at some pretty strong winds up and down the east coast into parts of Brevard County here for the next several hours. And I'm going to go back to Central Florida and switch over to our winds, and we'll see where we have the strongest of those winds at this point. It looks like down into Osceola County, some of these brighter reds picking up. We've got the potential for gusts I'm seeing up over 70. Haven't got an official report, but this is in an area where there's not a lot of people. So we could be seeing close to hurricane force winds in southern Osceola County, as well as some strong wind gusts in southern Brevard County along the east coast with these higher greens here. They're looking at one at about 75. So we may be starting to see those official reports with some hurricane force winds pushing inland in parts of Brevard County. It's going to get a bit rough the next few hours and then improve quickly as we head into our Thursday afternoon and evening. So the highest gust we've seen so far is in the Atlantic at 70 miles per hour, Sebastian Inlet at 66, Melbourne Airport 64, even Patrick Space Force Base and New Smyrna Beach have seen wind gusts over 60 miles per hour. And as we look at the track here, it's going to continue to move off to the northwest over the next several hours. As it pushes inland, our winds will remain on the stronger side, and we have those rain bands that will continue across the area. And then as we head toward lunch, pushing off to the northwest, so conditions will start to improve. Still going to be pretty windy throughout the afternoon, but those bands will begin to move out. Winds will definitely start to decline heading into Thursday night. By Friday, this system's going to be out of here. Our conditions really improving, and it will take us into a fairly quiet weekend. Curtis and Greg?
All right, Mallory, thank you. We are keeping a lot of attention there, and I mean, incredible with the winds there. Mallory was just talking about, especially in Brevard County.
Yeah, well, a lot we've been seeing here, especially when we go live to some of the reporters. You can see that wind just moving around out there.
Let's do that now, Brevard County too, because officials, they had been urging residents in coastal and flood-prone areas to evacuate about 24 hours before Nicole's arrival even.
Yeah, we saw that early this afternoon, them encouraging people to get out of the harm's way. Will Robinson-Smith, he is joining us live right now from Titusville, just a short walk from the banks of Indian River. And Will, what are you seeing right now this morning?
Yeah, good morning, Curtis and Greg. We're just joining you folks here from the Courtyard by Marriott at Titusville, just to give you a perspective of where we are geographically. You heard from Greg Pallone and John Chabon down in the southern end of the county, down by Ugallie and Melbourne. We're up in Titusville, right across the river from Kennedy Space Center. We're going to talk about that. Obviously, a lot of eyes on the Space Launch System rocket and the Artemis 1 mission, with the wind gusts being a concern. The rocket sitting out there, about $4.1 billion on the pad. I want to talk about what we're seeing out here. Obviously very gusty as we take a little walk about in the parking lot right here. One of the things we've noticed at this hotel, obviously being situated where it is you've got a lot of these bucket trucks, a lot of line crews we saw in the lobby checking in last night as we were coming in, getting ready to get some rest and be ready to go for today, because they, like you just saw with the wind gusts in my hat, I'll go get that later. But you've got a lot of wind up here right now is kind of the main thing we're seeing, and checking in with Greg Pallone, obviously a lot of down power lines associated with that. And one of the things that we've been stressing is, as you're driving around, you need to be really careful if you have to be out on the roads right now, which sincerely hope you don't, but be very cautious and cognizant of, you know, some of those road conditions. If there's a down power line, you never want to touch it. You don't want to drive across because you don't know if it's live. I'll have Vincent, my photographer, pan around over here, and you can just kind of see the strength of the wind. We're going to keep a close eye on this as we move about this morning. But for now, live here in Titusville, Will Robinson-Smith, Spectrum News.
Will, thank you. And for the record, Will Robinson-Smith, Dylan Lyons. We've got two lost hats here.
Yeah, I know, right?
Speaking of losing things, we've now got about 37,000 people statewide without power. That number slowly growing, and that's expected as, I mean, the storm and the center of the storm getting closer to the state here,
yeah,
so we'll track power outages.
And they talked a little bit about those wind gusts and everything. And speaking of power outages, you know, people do, you know, rely on those generators when those when power goes out. They want to have a backup source of power. Now, if you happen to have a generator, there's a right way to use it. Remember that. We don't want to tell you about someone who's gotten carbon monoxide poisoning.
Yeah, never want to use a generator inside or near windows. Don't even put it in your garage. Keep it outside in the vent away from your home. You want to keep it dry. Don't use it in the rain. And for fuel, use the type recommended for the generator. Turn it off, let it cool before putting extra gas in it. So just a few safety tips here, but again, the real dangers, and it actually causes a lot of deaths after storms, so it is a big thing. So we want folks to be prepared, we want folks to be safe and informed, and then we'll just get right through the storm together.
Absolutely, one step at a time. Hurricane Nicole is moving closer to Central Florida, but we're not going anywhere.
Much more is still ahead here on Spectrum News 13.
Spectrum News 13's marine forecast every hour at 21 past the hour.
This sponsorship is brought to you by Morgan & Morgan.
For the people.
The future of connectivity is here, where the flexibility and ease of mobile works hand in hand with the reliability, security, and speed of the internet. One unified network that moves information at unimaginable speeds and works like a shield to block threats before they ever get to you. That's powerful enough to run smart cities, yet simple enough to manage all the things that matter to you. This is Spectrum One. Internet, advanced Wi-Fi, and mobile working together as one to give you more speed, more reliability, and more security. That's seamless connectivity. That's Spectrum One.
Okay, Dad. 1, 2, 3. You saved me. Dad?
Are you okay?
I'm fine, dear. Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving.
This hurricane season, stay informed and prepared with the Spectrum News app. Get up-to-the-minute information from your weather experts, live Klystron 13 radar, and set up essential alerts when you need them most. Spectrum News, your community connection. Available on the App Store and Google Play.
There's certain moments in life that we cherish forever.
But sometimes unexpected accidents can threaten to take these moments away.
It's our job to try to help right these wrongs that make life hard.
That's why you choose us.
That's why you choose Bogan Munz & Munz.
Central Florida Beyond the Soundbite, a Spectrum News 13 podcast that offers a closer look inside the issues, available now on the Spectrum News app.
1:21 now in the morning here on this Thursday. Meteorologist Chris Gilson, Mallory Nichols, and Marie McCann tracking Hurricane Nicole as it gets closer here to a potential landfall. And as it does so, the wind's really cranking up, and that's going to have some big impacts here over the next several hours.
Yeah, we are starting to see across the state of Florida some higher power outage numbers. In fact, Palm Beach County as well as St. Lucie County in the thousands for some of those power outages, over 8,000 in fact. For Brevard County, looking at that number now at 4,000, up into Volusia County 400, and we might see this number tick up a bit more over the next few hours because we do have the strongest of our winds that are pushing inland at this time. Hurricane Nicole has wind speeds of 75 miles per hour. With the last update, picked up just a little bit of speed. West-northwest at 14 miles per hour. Some of the outer eye wall is very close to land. So within the next 2 hours, we are looking at landfall. And as it does so, it will start to weaken as it pushes across the Florida Peninsula and up toward central Florida. But during that time, we're going to see our highest winds along with some of those heavier rain bands that will cause that flooding concern. And of course, as we head toward about 8 a.m., we are are looking at that storm surge threat to increase even more with high tide occurring once again. So there's a lot that we're watching at this point, especially on Clystron 13.
A lot of rain, and we're starting to see that rain pick up, especially in Brevard County and Osceola County right now. That's where we're seeing the heavier rain bands kind of setting up here on Clystron 13. Mallory pointing out the eye getting close here to the coast. You can see how big the eye of Nicole is, and it stretches out about 60 miles or so. And the outer portion of the eye looks to be heading into portions of Indian River County and down toward Fort Pierce and Port St. Lucie. But it doesn't make official landfall until the center actually goes on land. So we could see that in the next couple of hours. Out ahead of it, though, as we expand the picture and go back out, we'll go back into the rain here farther to the north into portions of Brevard County, Osceola County, where we're seeing the shades of yellow, Rockledge, Satellite Beach, Melbourne. You're picking up the steadier rain. We had live shots there earlier in Brevard County and Titusville from our Will Robinson Smith. The winds really picking up there. As we take a look at the winds, we're seeing the reds and shades of greens, and that's Clystron 13 taking a look inside at those winds. We're not looking at anything that's rotating, and we would look for an area that's a little bit smaller where the reds and greens are coming together, but that's not the case at this point. So the tornado risk is still fairly low, but maybe an isolated tornado can't be ruled out. Now we're sampling the winds here in southern Osceola County, and you can see there Clystron 13 estimating about 76 mile-per-hour wind gusts could be possible. That's hurricane force winds. And then as we go out into the Atlantic waters here just off the coast of Satellite Beach in Melbourne, those wind gusts potentially around 70 to 80 miles per hour. Some of this likely higher up in the atmosphere, but some of these higher winds could translate down to the surface. So we've already had those wind gusts in Indian Atlantic already up to 70 miles per hour earlier, and we'll be watching for those higher wind gusts in portions of Osceola County and Brevard County. With more on the impacts, let's send things back over to Mallory.
Thanks, Chris. And let's go county by county, what to expect for the next few hours where you are. This is Brevard County, the worst weather, 2 a.m. to 7 a.m. And we'll continue to see those heavier showers, several inches of rain, gusts to 75, and a storm surge of 3 to 6 feet. Heading inland into Osceola County, the worst weather, 2 a.m. to 8 a.m., several inches of rain as well with gusts to 65. As we move up into Orange County, also going to see those higher wind gusts over 60 miles per hour between 5 and 9 a.m., along with about 2 to 4 inches of rainfall in areas that really don't need a lot of rain at any given point. Same thing for Seminole County, continuing to watch Lake Monroe, the St. Johns River. It does look like it is starting to increase, unfortunately, but the worst weather will be between 5 to 9 a.m., several inches of rain with gusts to 60. Heading closer to the Gulf Coast, the impact's a little bit lower. Lake County still looking at the potential for some strong wind gusts, but the impacts will be between 5 to 11 a.m. Several inches of rain will be possible here as well. And as we look at Sumter County, 7 to 1 p.m., so a little bit later on this morning into the early afternoon hours, gusts to 60 miles per hour. Same thing in Marion County, 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. is when we're looking at the worst of that weather. Now, as we go a little more to the East Coast here, and this is into Flagler as well as down into Volusia County, and we have between about 5 to 8 a.m., the worst of the weather, several inches of rain, gusts to 60, along with that storm surge impact. And a quick look at your 7-day forecast here, because we do have light at the end of the tunnel. Once we get Nicole out of here tomorrow, conditions will improve quickly Thursday night into Friday. By the weekend, plenty of sunshine returning, and even a cool down next week following a cold front with a couple of days highs only in the 70s.
Mallory and Chris, thank you. Everybody already ready for the weekend, but we got to get through this next few hours first.
Absolutely. Got to get through all of this first, then we can set our sights on the weekend. I want to go over to Seminole County now, where we're watching the water levels of the St. Johns River. I know myself, we're driving in from Sanford area. I was driving across 417, Lake Jessup, the water rising a bit out there.
Well, and considering just weeks after the area was inundated during Ian, Spectrum News 13's Jesse Canales there live for us this morning. Jesse, what are you seeing there?
What I'm saying is seeing the waves here at Lake Monroe, or it kind of looks like Beach Monroe at this point, with those waves crashing onto the marina here. And around Sanford, one of the big concerns, like you guys mentioned, is flooding. St. Johns River After a month ago, it reached crest about 8.96. It has been receding, making a lot of progress, but because of Nicole, that progress is kind of going the opposite way that some of the county leaders would like to see it. Currently, National Weather Service says it's around 6.63 feet, and it's expected to go up another 5 inches all the way through Tuesday. And part of that is not only the rain coming down, but a lot of the strong winds, as you can see, that's hitting my back and hitting those trees really hard. For now, reporting live in Sanford, Jess Canales, Spectrum News 13.
Jesse, thank you. Dramatic video there. Yvette Bruzois was there a short time ago. She is now in studio. I'm going to slide out of here, but Yvette will be here in just a few moments as Hurricane Nicole continues its track.
Yeah, and we'll be with you here all morning as we continue to assess the impact of Hurricane Nicole across the state. We have live team coverage coming your way right here on Spectrum News 13. Stay with us.
Proudly celebrating 25 years as part of the Central Florida community. Spectrum News 13, exclusively on Spectrum.
If you or a family member needs rehabilitation, you should know this. All rehabilitation facilities are not equal, and you have a choice, a clear choice.
I am so happy that Melbourne Terrace was here for me after my 4 surgeries following my fall. The care at Melbourne Terrace was life-changing and a tremendous blessing.
Melbourne Terrace Rehabilitation Center, helping you get back to you.
If you're waiting for a sign that it's time to finally tackle that window project, here it is. Renewal by Anderson's incredible Window Replacement Days. Get all the benefits of Renewal by Anderson's exclusive and easy replacement window process. And save a lot of money while you're at it. An immediate design consultation, exclusive Fibrix composite material windows, and precise installation by highly trained certified master installers. You get it all during Renewal by Anderson's Window Replacement Days. Call Renewal by Anderson today and take advantage of this limited time offer and special financing.
Has credit card debt got you feeling like you just can't breathe?
We just kept drowning and drowning, swimming in debt.
Whether you're 10, 20, 30, even 50,000 or more in debt, there is a way you can breathe easy again. It starts with a simple phone call to Freedom Debt Relief.
I felt so calm and relieved after talking to them.
Freedom Debt Relief for me was a lifesaver.
Freedom has served over 800,000 people and helped settle over $10 billion in debt. In fact, Freedom guarantees you won't pay a penny unless they can settle your debt and help you save money. How's that for a breath of fresh air?
It just has been a godsend for us.
Call Freedom now so you can breathe easy again.
I am now successfully debt-free.
Freedom Debt Relief was the right choice for me.
Call 1-800-652-7338 now to talk with a certified debt consultant. There's no obligation and no upfront settlement fee. 1-800-652-7338 or go to freedomrelief.com.
'22's storm season isn't done with us yet. Hurricane Nicole is making its way towards Central Florida.
Right now, you've come to the right place for complete coverage of the storm's impact. Time right now is 1:31 in the morning.
We'll be keeping you informed throughout the night and into the early morning hours right now.
Our goal, of course, is to make sure that you're prepared and never scared. We're so glad that you're joining us now as we continue our live team coverage of all things Hurricane Nicole across the state of Florida. I'm Yvette Bruzois.
And I'm Curtis McLeod. Live team coverage continues at the bottom of the hour here on Spectrum News 13 as we are about to keep you updated about the storm and how Central Florida leaders are responding to it.
Yeah, so much to get to. Our crews are stationed in multiple locations along the Florida Peninsula. We're keeping an eye out for everything the storm brings our way, from potential flooding to possible wind damage.
Yes, definitely. But first, let's get straight over to our weather team. Of course, they are standing by with the very latest. We've got Chris Gilson as well as Mallory Nichols, certified meteorologist, there to tell us where things stand with the storm so far, guys.
Thanks, Curtis and Yvette. We also have Maureen McCann in here as well, looking over some stuff. And we did just get a report just in.
Yeah, we have a report here in Brevard County from Emergency Management that a large tree fell onto the roof of a home in Melbourne Village. So unfortunately, that's going to likely be the first of maybe a couple of reports that come in, because we've seen wind gusts upwards of 70 miles per hour there in Brevard County, and now Melbourne, the airport, reporting a 59 mile per hour wind gust as we see some of the stronger winds working in around Nicole.
Yeah, and we're going to keep those strong wind gusts for the next several hours. So one thing we've really been watching as well is our tide times, because storm surge has already impacted the East Coast and will continue to do so as Nicole moves ashore. So tide times right now, we are heading toward low tide around 2 a.m. and then around 8:30 a.m. We'll see a high tide cycle again. So we are looking at that water to be pushed a little more inland than what we want to see. Not only the storm surge, but the strong wind along with some of those heavier showers.
And we have those heavier showers setting up along I-4 and eastward along the Florida Turnpike into Osceola County and along I-95 in Brevard County. The eye of Nicole down to the south and east. It looks like the outer fringe of the eye wall is starting to work into portions of Indian River County and a little bit farther to the south there. But out on the northern side of it here in Brevard County, that's where we're seeing the heaviest rain at this point, and embedded in with some of the stronger activity will be those higher wind gusts, and we'll break down the hazards, the timing of Nicole in more detail coming up a little later on. Beth and Curtis.
All right, Chris, thank you so much to all of you guys there. We'll be checking in with you in just a bit. Nicole's bands are whipping the Atlantic coast. Officials stressing everyone should stay away from the area's beaches right now.
Yeah, that's sound advice for sure. Greg Pallone continues our live team coverage, joining us from a very windy Melbourne. Greg, hello to you. Walk us through where you are and what you're seeing right now.
Yeah, we just recorded a 47-mile-an-hour gust just moments ago, but we've got sustained winds out here in the 30-mile-an-hour range, up to 40 miles an hour. So things have been deteriorating all evening long here into the overnight hours. We're at the O'Galley Pier, which is in the O'Galley section of Melbourne, and the Indian River has swollen over its banks. There's some minor flooding going on here, but the conditions just continue to get worse. We're getting pounded with all of this wind and all of this rain. It is relentless, and this is the way it has been now for several hours, and it's even gotten worse here in just the last short amount of time. Of course, we'll find out exactly how much worse once the eye decides to make landfall wherever that might be south of us. But again, we know there's major beach erosion going on as we speak over on the barrier islands. The beach accesses have been taped off. They are discouraging people from going onto the beach. Of course, you wouldn't want to be there right now in the middle of the night as it is with these type of conditions, but there is danger. We do know one thing: most people overall have stayed off the roads. That is a good thing, considering the conditions have gotten worse and worse. We'll of course continue to monitor the situation out here in Melbourne, here in the southern part of Brevard County, as we just got another large gust. That one may have been more than that 47 that we just recorded a moment ago. But again, the conditions are getting even worse as we speak. So we're going to get to a safe place for now, and hopefully everything will be okay. But we'll see the result of all of this with Nicole once the daylight hours unfold. Live in Melbourne, Greg Pallone, Spectrum News 13.
Greg, Tim, you guys stay safe out there. We do appreciate that live report from you. In Volusia County, we're already seeing major storm surge where there are mandatory evacuation orders in place there too.
Yeah, the entire coast is being thrashed right now. Nicole Griffin is joining us live from Daytona Beach, where the situation is so serious there's a worry that a building could collapse. You've got new information on that?
Yes, good morning, Beth and Curtis. That is the situation over in Daytona Beach shores with all of the conditions we're seeing out here right now. That is what the major concern is for officials. But we've actually moved over to Port Orange because we've seen some pretty major flooding here. Take a look. This is right on Halifax Avenue, right off of the Dunlawton Bridge, right near Aunt Catfish's on the river, a very popular restaurant in this area prone to flooding. And if you can see down this street, you can actually see waves from the Halifax River. It looks like an ocean almost just pouring into the road here, and that's very concerning because this is a residential road, lots of homes, and unfortunately it looks like that water is just going crashing right into their front door. If we can't really even see the Halifax itself since it's so dark, but we can see a boathouse out there, and it looks like the water is just rising way above where it should be at this point, and as you can see, it's creeping down Halifax here closer to the bridge, so it's definitely going to cause some issues once the sun rises. Hopefully not too much damage for the people that live on the street, but it just goes to show you how much water Hurricane Nicole is bringing with it into this area, causing some major concerns. So we did speak with Sheriff Chitwood not too long ago. He told us he did meet with his water rescue team. They have their high water vehicles ready to go. However, they're only responding if people call 911. And they're hoping that they don't get too many 911 calls tonight and that people are instead riding out Hurricane Nicole in a safe space. But we'll keep you posted. For now, reporting live in Port Orange, Nicole Griffin, Spectrum News.
Nicole, we appreciate that live report. Some good information there from Sheriff Chitwood. You need to call 911 if you happen to need some assistance.
Absolutely.
We're going to be monitoring Hurricane Nicole's impact across the state all morning. You're taking a live look right now at the Flagler Beach Pier.
Okay, we have a weather update coming up in just a moment. Of course, you know we do this every 10 minutes with your weather on the ones. Don't go anywhere. We've got Mallory Nichols standing by, everybody.
Thanks, guys. And we are talking, looking at the flood concern along the St. Johns River. I'll have the latest update on the flood stages, plus a look at Kleinstrawn 13, where we have the heaviest rain and the strongest winds, all coming up soon.
Central Florida is my home. I grew up here, and I care about this community and want all voices heard. In our political podcast, Central Florida Beyond the Soundbite, Greg Angel, Gary Darling, and I sit down with people creating change and finding solutions. Digging deeper into the issues that impact our community, we go beyond the news soundbite to get to the real story.
People want facts, and they want answers.
Central Florida Beyond the Soundbite, available on the Spectrum News app.
So this one-size-fits-all network upgrade is the best you guys can do?
Better than that. It's the only thing we do.
That's how we know it's right for you.
You're just gonna have to accept it.
Yeah, accept it.
No, you don't. At Spectrum Enterprise, we design solutions around your needs for success on your terms. Because we believe technology only works if it works for you. So go ahead. Be unreasonable.
My mother was always very familiar with her neighborhood, but one day she stopped at the stop sign for much longer than usual, and she didn't know whether she should go forward or turn, and she wasn't even...
I'm Robert Palmer, founder of RP Funding, and I know that even when you pay all your bills on time, high credit card debt can still leave you with a low credit score. But at RP Funding, we want to help. Your home equity could be the best way to consolidate debt and improve your financial situation. We've paid over $80 million in closing costs, so let us pay yours. Call today to see if you qualify for one of our closing cost programs. But even if you don't, we still may be able to approve your loan.
Just take a minute. Look around you. There's history being made. Has been, will be, and it'll be here sooner than you think.
Central Florida Beyond the Soundbite, a Spectrum News 13 podcast that offers a closer look inside the issues, available now on the Spectrum News app.
time now is 1:41. I'm meteorologist Mallory Nichols, joined with meteorologist Maureen McCann and Chris Gilson, all continuing to track Hurricane Nicole. And as we look at the satellite and radar picture of this hurricane, the winds extend out very far from the center of this storm. So we have been dealing with some strong winds and those heavy rain bands for the past several hours, and they are going to continue throughout this morning and into the early afternoon hours today before conditions finally start to improve. Now, I want to go in a little bit closer here. And this eye wall is rather large, but it does look like the extreme western part of that eye wall is very close to the coast here just south of Brevard County. So we're getting some of those strong winds to start to push inland. It's not until the center actually moves inland that we have the official landfall, but that is expected here in about the next hour to hour and a half along the east coast. And then as it moves inland and off to the northwest, we are going to keep those high winds around along with some heavy rain bands. So here's a look at Klystron 13 here, and we do have some of those heavier bands that are pushing into parts of Brevard County, Orange County, Osceola County, and even up into Flagler, Marion County, maybe some of those heavier showers. But this rain is widespread at this point, and some of the stronger winds are moving ashore as well. So as we switch over to our winds and notice the brighter colors here that are in southern Brevard and Osceola County. I want to take you in closer to that area. I've been watching the winds not only for how strong they are, but for the potential of rotation. Haven't seen a lot of rotating storms at this time. That's good news, but we will have to continue to monitor it over the next few hours. And as we look at some of the winds in southern Brevard County, seeing those between about 50 to 60, even into southern Osceola County, also seeing those winds between 50 to 60, but even at times up over 60 with those gusts. And as we move to the north, also want to check out some of these brighter greens that are coming ashore here in Brevard County. This is where we have some of those stronger winds that are up over 60 in spots along the east coast. We're seeing Greg out there getting some of those strong wind gusts from time to time. That's because we do have some strong winds that are pushing toward the coast just offshore, possibly up to 80. And this is quickly moving off to the east or off to the west southwest and maybe pushing inland. So we're going to be monitoring those strong winds. But I do want to show you when we have wind out of the northeast, it actually backs up the St. Johns River. And we do have now St. John's at Astor in the major flood stage, the moderate flood stage for St. John's near DeLand, and then near Sanford and above Lake Harney still in the minor flood stage at this point. And we also have Little Wekiva River back on the map. Near flood stage could become in that flood stage, that minor flood stage here very soon. And as we check out the hydrograph from St. John's River near Astor, we have that level now up to 4.1 feet. We've been continuing to watch this climb here over the past couple of hours, expected to stay in that major category for flooding, unfortunately, even as we head through the weekend and into early on next week. Curtis and Ebeth?
All right, thank you so much. Lots to get to this morning. You know, you see the power of the storm and much respect, right, to our law enforcement. And as they said, please make sure you stay off the roads.
You definitely have to, especially in situations like this. It's a very, very serious situation.
Let's go ahead and continue now over to Volusia County. One of the concerns has been structures, among many other things, right? Because nobody needs this, but they're still dealing with the remnants of what happened 6 weeks ago with the other hurricane Ian.
They are. Dylan Lyons is live in New Smyrna Beach right now, and he's been monitoring conditions and giving us updates throughout the evening into the morning. And Dylan, what are you seeing right now?
Well, good morning, Curtis. Yeah, what we're seeing right now is the rain started to let up a little bit over the past 30 minutes or so. The wind, though, that's not letting up at all. As you can tell, the wind's still pretty going strong here in New Smyrna Beach. We're on the mainland side of it. We were on the coastal side earlier in the earlier hours yesterday into the early morning hours this morning, but we decided to move over because we weren't sure when the bridges were exactly going to close. We have seen police monitoring the roadways here along the intercoastal. Now, in the intercoastal, you really can't see, but one thing that I do want to point out, just to let you know, is that there are docks underwater, so that's one of the things. The water is rising there in the intercoastal, but the roadways have remained clear. The wind's starting to pick up. The rain's starting to taper off here. That's the good news. So there's some silver lining through all of this. So we're not seeing too much here in New Smyrna Beach. We're not seeing a lot of damage at this point. Again, that may change as the sun starts to come up in the morning hours. But one thing we are seeing as we drive around is flooding. That's one of the main things we're seeing here. And we'll continue to keep you updated on the conditions throughout the morning here in New Smyrna Beach. Reporting live in Volusia County, New Smyrna Beach, Dylan Nye, Spectrum News.
All right, Dylan, thank you so much for that live report. Delayed again. That's the latest announcement from NASA on the Artemis 1 rocket launch.
Yeah, so the moon mission will now blast off no earlier than Wednesday, November 16th. I know the dates keep changing.
I know.
Everybody wants this to happen, but, you know, Mother Nature had other plans. The rocket was brought to the launch pad, remember, last week ahead of the scheduled launch on the 14th, which would be this coming Monday. NASA says it will keep Artemis on the pad, calling it the safest option for the launch hardware. The rocket is designed to withstand winds of up to 85 miles per hour.
And I think I remember them saying that they had seen it up to about a little over 70 miles per hour. I think that's the highest we've seen so far just yet. We'll be bringing you, of course, updates all morning long as we continue to assess Nicole's impact across the state.
We have weathers constantly with information coming your way from every single one of our severe weather experts as we give you live pictures right now of where the wind is howling. Things are definitely picking up there in Titusville and Brevard County, and this is exactly what we're seeing across the area, especially on the coast. Conditions are worsening by the minute. Stay with us up all night here on Spectrum News 13. We'll be right back.
Watch all month long as Spectrum News 13 celebrates Veterans and Military Families Month. This is Community. This is Spectrum News 13. Exclusively on Spectrum.
Central Florida is my home. I grew up here. In our podcast, Central Florida Beyond the Soundbite, Greg Angel, Gary Darling, and I sit down with people creating change and finding solutions.
Central Florida Beyond the Soundbite, available on the Spectrum News app.
It's our year-end blowout sale at all 4 of Gary Yeoman's Ford's locations and both Gary Yeoman's Lincoln locations. All of our Ford and Lincoln certified pre-owned vehicles have been priced with year-end blowout savings. Massive selection with incentives that are as good or better than brand new. And no interest for 3 years. You'll be saying CP, oh my goodness, and no payments till February. CP, oh yeah. Hey, don't wait. Go visit GoYeomans.com and figure out why Florida says. Go Yeomans!
During the Chevy Cyber Cash sales event at Bob's Deal Chevy, it's Black Friday savings every day, all month long. Our Thanksgiving gift is new Chevys, less than MSRP. That's right, over 160 new Silverados, Colorados, Equinox, Tahoes, everything's on sale with many less than MSRP. While they last, Bob's Deal has new Chevy trucks and SUVs, no payments till next year. And get up to $5,000 more for your trade. With lifetime oil changes and tire rotations. For real savings, see Steel before you make any deal.
My grandson and I enjoy playing basketball, and it had become a weekly thing. But I started noticing my vision was getting worse. Things looked cloudy, and sometimes I had double vision. I just wasn't able to play the way I used to. I went to Tress Vision, and they were able to restore my sight so I could get back to doing what I love.
At Tress Vision Group, formerly Brevard Eye Center, our mission remains the same. We fix your eyesight so you can fix your eyes on what matters most. Let us be your guide on the journey to better vision.
Hurricane Nicole getting closer to landfall. I'm meteorologist Chris Gilson with Mallory Nichols and Marie McCann as we're tracking some gustier squalls working across portions of the area. We've had high wind gusts upwards of 70 miles per hour in Brevard County, and we'll likely see some of those stronger wind gusts continue.
Yeah, I do think we have some of those stronger gusts that are pushing toward the East Coast at this time, and we're waiting for the 2 a.m. update. I had to look at the clock here. The 2 a.m. update should be coming in here very soon with the latest on Hurricane Nicole. Wind speed still, though, at 75 miles per hour, moving off to the west-northwest at 14 miles per hour. And it does look like some of the outer edges of the eye wall are skirting the coast at this point, expected to make landfall here in the next maybe hour to possibly up to 2 hours. But we are going to continue to get those impacts felt across the area. And speaking of impacts, all day yesterday as well as into this morning, we've had those tropical storm force winds. They extend out 485 miles from where the center is located. It's mainly off to the north. So tropical storm force winds are being felt across the Carolinas and especially across central Florida. A lot of Florida dealing with these strong winds. And this is only going to pick up as Nicole pushes off to the northwest. We've got some of those stronger winds that are going to be pushing into the area here in the next several hours. And we do have a wind gust in Melbourne at 56 at this point, 45 for Daytona Beach, 46 in Orlando. Pretty much all across central Florida, we have those high gusts as some of those heavier bands move ashore.
Yeah, we're seeing the heaviest bands of rain here on Clystron 13 and portions of Osceola County, southeastern Orange County, and Brevard County. You can see the eye of Nicole, and it's getting close to the coast here of Indian River County down toward Port St. Lucie. So we'll see the center of this move onshore, maybe even into portions of southern Brevard County as we head toward about 3, 4 o'clock potentially this morning, if not a little bit sooner than that. Going back into the rain here locally, we had some steadier rain around Orlando. It's kind of letting up for now around Winter Park and Altamont Springs, but another batch working in from the east, heading toward Lake Nona and the Orlando International Airport, Titusville, Merritt Island, Port St. John, Rockledge, Satellite Beach. Really, Brevard County has seen the most persistent rain here over the past few hours. We'll take a look at the Clystron 13 rainfall estimates over 3 hours here of time, and areas in Brevard County picking up right around an inch of rain, so not significant, but really what we've been seeing here in Brevard County has been the high winds with some of these squalls that continue to work onshore. And we'll go into some of the winds here on Clystron 13. So going off the coast around Satellite Beach and Rockledge here, we're seeing the brighter shades of green. That's where Clystron 13 is estimating potentially that we could have hurricane force gusts around 74, 75, 76 miles per hour. Some of these stronger winds also stretch into portions of Osceola County. We'll clear off the screen and go into Osceola County around Yeehaw Junction. Earlier in southern Osceola County, we had wind gusts over 60 miles per hour, still estimating right around 60 there along the Florida Turnpike. So the strongest winds, Brevard County, even into coastal Volusia County, will have some of those higher wind gusts as these bands continue to rotate around the center of Nicole. With more on the timing of when Nicole is going to move through, let's go back over to Mallory.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. And here's a look at the future cast of this storm. We've got the bands already rolling in, as Chris has showed you, and this is going to continue throughout the next several hours as Nicole moves off to the northwest. Now, we will weaken as it moves over land, but we're still going to get those strong winds and heavy rain through about lunchtime. There's still going to be some activity and some strong wind into the afternoon, but it is going to start to lessen across the area, especially by the evening hours and into tonight. We will be able to say goodbye to Nicole, moving out quickly by Friday and into the weekend. We've got a much better situation, just a few lingering showers across the area, but much calmer, and that is going to continue as we head into this weekend. So we'll look at our extended forecast. Not too bad after tomorrow. Again, just a few lingering showers on Friday. This weekend, though, we have a front moving through. So not only do we have plenty of sunshine returning, but for a couple days next week, we do have those high temperatures in the 70s.
All right, thank you so much. We appreciate you both. And now to Brevard County, where officials urged residents in coastal and flood-prone areas to evacuate almost 24 hours before Nicole arrived.
Will Robinson-Smith continues her live team coverage now. You're joining us from Titusville. It's just a short walk from the banks of the Indian River. Will, hello to you. So walk us through what you're seeing right now. I saw you lost your hat earlier tonight because everything's so windy out there.
lost the hat, recovered the hat. It is now tucked away safely. And if we go back out in a little bit stronger elements, we'll put it under the hood. But you can see just how much the wind gust is coming up here, and that's why the hat is tucked safely away, because you can just take a look at the trees whipping in the wind blowing sideways with the rain against some of those bucket trucks. Crews staged here getting ready to respond when it's safe to do so. Clearly that's not the case right now. It's going to have to wait a little bit before conditions are safe for people to respond to a lot of these reports of down power lines. Just checked in with the FPL Florida Power and Light power outage map. We've got about 4,100 customers here in Brevard County that have lost power at this point. Not surprising seeing a lot of folks start to post on social media saying they've lost power. They're just kind of hunkering down their homes. But you mentioned those recommended evacuations. There are no mandatory evacuations here in Brevard County, according to Sheriff Wayne Ivey. But some of those low-lying areas, people that are in manufactured homes, those are the spots that they are wanting people to have gotten to more sturdy shelter. There were 4 that are open throughout the county, so wanting people to stay safe. Obviously keeping a close eye on this here in Titusville. Will Robinson-Smith, Spectrum News.
Yeah, conditions are deteriorating for sure. Thank you. We'll be checking in with him throughout the night.
We sure will be. And of course, we have team coverage throughout the rest of this morning. Our team of reporters across the region covering Hurricane Nicole and its impacts.
Don't go anywhere, everybody. We're up. Stay up with us. We'll be right back.
Spectrum News 13 is brought to you by Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm.
There's never been a better time to get away. With a great deal on the Hyundai you've always wanted. With America's best warranty and up to 3 years complimentary maintenance. It's your journey. Own every mile at the Hyundai Getaway Sales Event. Hurry in to get our best deals of the season. Get in and get away. Get a Santa Fe with $1,250 bonus cash and 0 payments for 90 days. Plus, get $1,000 relief cash for those affected by Hurricane Ian.
Life is full of ifs. If you see the potential in every day. If you push for that promotion. Or if you say, I do. If you can cash flow like a pro, safeguard against surprises, and supercharge your savings, the if in life becomes less iffy. Regions Life Banking makes it possible. If you're interested.
Let's talk about the if in life. Regions Bank, embrace the if in life.
Timeless, luxurious, unmistakable, forever. For over 75 years, Bears Furniture has helped people turn their houses into homes. A transformation that starts by bringing families together. At Bears, we offer the largest selection of genuine leather sofas, sectionals, and chairs, including brands like Natuzzi Editions, Stressless, and Bernhard. A lifetime of memories awaits you, beginning with a timeless product from a timeless brand. Bears Furniture. Live beautifully.
Buy my house. Hello? Buy my house. Oh, hey. Buy my house.
Oh, okay. What are you doing?
I'm just letting everyone know that I'm selling my house.
Okay, stop that. That's not how you sell a home. You need marketing, tough guy. Have you canvassed your neighborhood with door hangers and flyers?
No.
Have you sent out targeted mail to potential buyers in the area?
No.
Have you built a dedicated website specifically showcasing your home?
No.
Now, did you know that a homevalue.com agent will do all of this for you?
No.
So, do you think what you're doing right now is smart?
No.
Homevalue.com.
Is making its way towards Central Florida.
We're feeling the effects right now in areas still recovering from Hurricane Ian. We're all just being faced right now with this nasty storm.
Our weather experts and news crews are here to help you weather the storm throughout the night and into the morning.
Right now, we're keeping you informed so you can be prepared, not scared, because I know many of you are up in the middle of the night, and we're so glad that you're joining us for a live team coverage.
Yes, we sure are. Welcome back to Spectrum News 13. I'm Curtis McLeod.
And I'm Ebeth Broussard. So as we continue to monitor, of course, the very latest effects, and things are intensifying right now, the impacts are definitely being felt across the area.
Yeah, 24 hours ago, our crews were covering Florida's general election. I was on the campaign trail myself, and now here we are focused on this hurricane. Now we have those crews stationed in multiple locations along the Florida Peninsula. We're keeping an eye out for everything this storm might bring. We're talking about potential flooding here, even wind damage. We're keeping you covered with the latest from the storm's worst impact.
So many concerns, including power outages that we're starting to see and feel across the area. Let's go ahead and get the very latest on where this hurricane is right now and how powerful it is with our weather experts. Joining us at 2:01, we've got Chris Gilson, I believe, and Maureen McCann.
Yes,
hey guys,
that is righty, Beth and Curtis. Good morning. Early on this Thursday morning at 2:01, we are looking at Nicole right now, 15 miles, the center of it, to the east of Fort Pierce. So we're getting close here to landfall. We've had the high wind gust reports through the past 3 hours here, especially in Brevard County. It's really been the focus for some of the highest wind gusts that we've seen so far.
Yeah, with the 2 o'clock advisory, a report came in that Patrick Space Force Base had sustained winds of 53 miles per hour and a wind gust of 61 miles per hour. So over the next couple of hours, as the core of the stronger winds near the center move onshore, that's when we're going to see these squalls start to intensify. But, Chris, it's also an inland event, too. We've seen that rain spreading all across central Florida.
Yeah, we've seen the rain, and it's been basically focused, at least the heavier rain, right along the coast in Brevard County. Portions of eastern Orange County and Osceola County have seen the more intense bands of rain kind of setting up around Nicole as the eye continues to near the coastline. And it looks like part of the eye is the western fringe of it is entering portions of Indian River County right now. So we're looking at a landfall potentially southeastern Brevard County, Indian River County, and down toward Port St. Lucie. So we're going to be watching the heavier rain. Embedded within the heavier rain here along the coast, we'll have those higher wind gusts, and we'll break down the hazards. We're also watching the impacts of the rain marine along the St. Johns River Basin, and unfortunately we're starting to see the water come up a little bit there.
Yeah, especially at Astor. So the rain increasing over the course of the morning, but you know, it's overnight hours, so people likely home in their safe places while the conditions are at their worst. We'll, of course, have more coming up throughout the morning.
We appreciate you both. Thank you so much. Over to Volusia County we go now. One of the concerns has been structures already damaged during Hurricane Ian and how they'll hold up, of course, with this second storm in just 6 weeks.
That is everybody's concern right now. Dylan Lyons is live in New Smyrna Beach. Dylan, hi. You've been out there for quite a while. Walk us through what you're seeing. What are you watching at this hour?
Good morning, Yvette and Curtis. Yeah, so one of the things since we've last talked that I've noticed is the wind certainly starting to pick up. We're starting to feel the rain again a little bit, but not as bad as we were feeling it earlier. So that's still some silver lining. Now, we're on the other side, closer to the intercoastal. We were over by the ocean a few hours ago, and there, the steps that take you down to the ocean, we did notice the water was coming right up to it. The seawalls were eroding. There were really no seawalls left over there, but back over here by the intercoastal, the water is coming over the grass onto the roadways. That's one of the main things we're noticing is flooding. In driving around, we're not seeing too much damage. Again, it's still very dark out here. We're not able to see much, so when the sunlight comes up, we'll be able to see more. But as of right now, what we're able to see, we are seeing a lot of flooding in the area on the roadways. And one other thing we are noticing is that police are monitoring the roadways. They're doing a great job of monitoring the roadways here in New Smyrna Beach. We're not seeing too many cars on the roadways, so we're not seeing a lot of people out and about trying to get a view of what Hurricane Nicole is doing to the coast here in New Smyrna Beach. We are noticing that the bridge going east towards the ocean is closed, but if you're trying to get out west, if you're trying to leave the ocean area, you are able to do so. So we'll continue to keep you updated on the conditions here in New Smyrna Beach throughout the morning into the early morning hours. As the sun starts to come up, we'll give you more of a look at what the conditions are like and what type of damage is here in New Smyrna Beach. But for now, reporting live in Volusia County, New Smyrna Beach, Dylan Lyons, Spectrum News.
Dylan, thank you so much for that live report in Volusia County, where he is now. We're going to stay in Volusia County, where we're already seeing some major storm surge, where there are mandatory evacuation orders in place there, too.
Yeah, so let's continue our live team coverage right now at 2:05 in the morning. Nicole Griffin is with us live from Daytona Beach. Follow her on social media. She's constantly updating us as well. The situation so serious, there's worry about a building that could collapse. Are you still over in the Port Orange area like you were last time we saw you?
Yes, we're in Port Orange now. We were monitoring Daytona Beach shore, since that's where a lot of those structures that are an area of concern are, but the conditions there just got so intense that it wasn't safe anymore. We moved over the bridge. All of those bridges now closed if you're trying to head beachside. But if you take a look behind me here in Port Orange, we are noticing flooding is really the huge problem here today. This is at Halifax Drive, right near Aunt Catfish's on the river, right off of the Dunlawton Bridge, which is a very popular area. Now, if you take a look, it almost looks like the ocean, because the river is just so angry with all of these wind gusts here, and it's actually pushing the river onto this residential road where there are a lot of houses. Because it's so dark, we can't really tell just how far that water is going into their yards, but hopefully not causing any water damage inside their homes, because we did see a lot of that with Hurricane Ian just 6 weeks ago. People just starting to recover, just filing those insurance claims, and now having to wait and see if they're going to have to do that all over again now for Hurricane Nicole. But as you can see and as you can hear, it's just really angry out here right now. It's not the time to be outside. There is a curfew in place that went into effect at 7 p.m. and again, a lot of mandatory evacuations here in Volusia County, mostly on the beach side. A lot of people over here in the Port Orange area hunkering down, looking for a safe place to weather this storm. But we'll keep you updated on conditions. For now, reporting live in Port Orange, Nicole Griffin, Spectrum News 13.
All right, Nicole Griffin in Volusia County, thank you so much. And just to mention this real quick, Nicole in Volusia County, 420 people reported without power right now. So that number is still a little low. It's going to go up as time goes on. Yeah. Some of the worst impacts along the coast has been structural damage from storm surge related to the high tide.
We want to share with you these images. Take a look. All that sand just washed away. This is a home in Wilbur by the Sea. A viewer sent this to us. It highlights how vulnerable the coastline is as Hurricane Nicole looks to make landfall, basically taking a bite, a chunk out of that entire area. This home is right on the edge there as waves have removed so much of that shoreline. And you can see it's daylight in that picture.
Yeah.
All right, so now the sun has gone down and the situation has worsened. So I can only imagine what we're going to see when the sun comes up.
I know. Then that's you look at this picture and you just can wonder, okay, what?
Who lives there? Are they okay?
Who lives there? Are they okay? What's going to happen?
We're following the story.
We are. We're definitely following the story. Here's a live look, Flagler Beach Pier there. We're showing you right now. Remember, we are here for you, monitoring the storm. Our team of reporters are fanned out across the region, bring you the latest updates.
We have weather updates every 10 minutes, 24/7, with your weather on the ones. Stay with us, everybody. We know we're in the middle of the night, and if you're feeling uncertain about anything, stay up with us. We're here as a helping hand, and we've got our team of certified meteorologists coming up in a
Spectrum News 13 is brought to you by Health First, your local wellness company, and the future is well.
Central Florida is a community where people quickly become connected with one another.
When you watch your evening news, you'll see a reflection of yourself, your issues, your neighborhood.
And I hope by seeing our stories, people become better informed and inspired to be involved in our communities.
We're stronger together, and I feel lucky to be able to call this home. Join us for your evening news on Spectrum News 13 and on the Spectrum News app.
Is your garage ugly, cluttered, and disorganized? Let Garage Experts be your solution to restoring order and improving the image of your garage. With custom designed storage solutions, Garage Experts can transform your space into the garage of your dreams. Give your car its garage back with a new lifetime warranty FX epoxy and polyaspartic floor system to ride slow and low on. Garage Experts will transform your garage, giving you a functional, clean, and organized space within your budget. Let Garage Experts put the wow in your garage.
This is Morty. Morty's got to go to the vet. But Morty, it's Florida aid to animals. Pets know where to go for affordable health care. Florida 82 Animals has the lowest prices on visits, vaccines, and the best products with surgeries for spaying and neutering. Dental cleanings just $99. X-rays only $99 plus office visit. Cats and dogs are happy to save. Call Florida 82 Animals in Melbourne and Palm Bay.
I wanted to be a meteorologist to follow in my dad's footsteps. He's not only a meteorologist, but he's also driven me to do a little more. I'd add more to my plate, like baking, because I like the challenge. Here at Spectrum News 13, we're constantly furthering our education. I decided to get my master's in emergency management in order to bring the best forecast to our viewers and prepare them. I'm constantly trying to get better. It's definitely rewarding. I'm meteorologist Mallory Nichols, Spectrum News 13.
All right, we continue now at 2:11. Let's go ahead and toss it over to severe weather expert Chris Gilson, showing us right now the intensity of Hurricane Nicole.
Nicole still Category 1, Eve, Beth, and Curtis with winds of 75 miles per hour. It's getting ready to make landfall. It's pretty close. It looks like the western fringe of the eye wall is now working into Indian River County and St. Lucie County there just to the south of Brevard County. So around it, we have the heavy bands of rain setting up really east of I-4 and along the I-95 corridor into portions of Volusia County, southern Volusia County, and then down into Brevard County. As we take a look at the winds, which we will do in a second, right now it has winds of 75 miles per hour. As it makes landfall here in the next few hours, it'll likely weaken down just a bit to a tropical storm, but still maintaining winds around 65 miles per hour as it tracks right over central Florida. So we still have several hours to go here with the high winds and that heavy rain threat. Looking at the wind field with Nicole, it expands out 485 miles from the center as far as those tropical storm force winds, which is the shade of yellow. Those tropical storm force winds start at 39 miles per hour and go up from there. The hurricane force winds are right around the center of the storm, and that extends out by about 25 miles. So that's where we have those winds around 74, 75 miles. So that's getting closer to the southeast coast there of Brevard County, and we've had wind gusts up to 70 miles per hour reported there in the Atlantic. So the wind gusts have been pretty high in Brevard County, up to 66 miles per hour in Sebastian Inlet, Melbourne Airport, 64 mile per hour wind gusts, and New Smyrna Beach, even in Volusia County, having those wind gusts around 60 miles per hour. Looking at the gusts right now at this hour, at the 2 o'clock time frame, we're looking at gusts close to 45 in Daytona Beach at the airport, 67 mile per hour wind gusts in Melbourne. Our winds around Orlando and Sanford have picked up here in the past hour, now upwards of 40 miles per hour. As we take you into Clystron 13, a little bit of a closer look here at the center of Nicole, and notice the eye near the Vero Beach area. This is a wide eye. It extends out about 50 to 60 miles, and the western fringe of the eye now is working along the I-95 corridor right around Vero Beach, Fort Pierce, and Port St. Lucie. And then you're going to get some heavier rain, maybe even some gustier winds here in Mico as the northwestern side of the eye starts to work inland there into portions of southern Brevard County. So we'll go in and take a look at the winds. We haven't seen a tornado risk so far, so that's the good thing. But with it coming ashore, we'll still have to watch out for that potential. Now this is switching over to the winds, and we're seeing the brighter shades of red in southwestern Brevard County, just to the west of Mico. Clystron 13 estimating those winds close to hurricane force gusts, upwards of 72. Hurricane force gusts start at 74 miles per hour, so we're going to have those high winds right around the Mico area. Going back into the radar, expanding the picture, we'll go into some of the heavier rain here along the beach line, the 528 in eastern Orange County, Mims, Titusville, and Port St. John in Rockledge. Seeing some of this steadier rain working inland. Taking a look at the winds here, seeing the brighter shades of greens kind of popping right around the Merritt Island area and the Space Center. Wind gusts close to 50 to 60 miles per hour here right along the coast. So we'll continue to see the strongest winds in Brevard County as Nicole continues to work to the west and northwest. Rain not as intense here in Ocala and Leesburg and around Wildwood in the villages, but we're seeing most of the steadier rain here to the south and east of I-4 as the eye gets closer to the coast of Florida. So timing everything out, between now and the morning hours, that's when we'll have the peak of the rain, the peak of the wind. As we go into the afternoon beyond midday, we'll likely see Nicole pulling to the north. We could have still some lingering impacts in portions of Marion County and Sumter counties, and then the evening hours will start to clear out completely here. And then outside of some lingering showers for tomorrow, we'll start to see improving weather as we head into your Friday. And we'll go through the county by county impacts coming up in less than 10 minutes.
It's okay. Thank you so much. And we'll be checking in with them here in less than 10 minutes with more on what's happening with the tracking of Nicole in the overnight hours.
Definitely, we surely will. Flooding continues to be a concern in Seminole County as the county remains under a flood watch. And I know, Beth, you were out in Seminole County earlier this morning.
Yeah, about 2 hours ago, I was out there. Let me tell you right now, Lake Monroe, water very cold when it slaps you in the face.
Oh, boy, yeah.
Thank God for my $12 hair dryer.
Look at that.
But our team coverage continues because we actually have one of our reporters out there right now in Seminole County where they've seen historic flooding from back with Hurricane Ian. Hey, Jesse Canales, you're right there. That's Lake Monroe next to you. Walk us through how the wind is really picking up now.
Now, Beth, I know you were on the walkway along Lake Monroe. Well, let me show you what it looks like here in the marina. Let me turn on the flashlight to show you guys a little more. You can see the water really picking up over here, hitting some of that seawall, and it's actually coming over in many cases, and the wind really picking up. And as the water rises, that's been a big concern here in Seminole County. Like you guys mentioned, Seminole County leaders say they don't expect any historic flooding, but do expect some flooding. Some flooding is a concern for a Sanford resident I spoke to who lives not that far from here.
My neighborhood did flood, however, my house didn't. A lot of water, and we're getting ready to go through the storm right now. We will see flooding again. Just based off of my experience here with the storms, we will see flooding again.
Now, last check, the National Weather Service says currently the water at St. John's River is about 6.63 feet, and they expect that to go up another 5 inches through Tuesday. The good news, like I mentioned, Seminole County leaders say they're not expecting any historic flooding like we saw during Hurricane Ian. For now, reporting live in Sanford, Jessica Canales, Spectrum News 13.
Thank you so much for that, Jesse. And somebody who knows Sanford and Seminole County very well is our traffic anchor, Jerry Hume, joining us live now this morning. Jerry, hello to you. So what are you tracking on the roads right now?
I'm pretty familiar with Brevard County as well. We are taking a look at conditions here on 95. This is US 192 here at Mitten Road. And you're also looking at a live look at the Flagler Beach. If you want to come to me, though, we are showing conditions here at 192 in Mitten Road for that morning drive out there. And good thing is we haven't seen any vehicles out there on the road, and that's because we just have sheets of rain that are coming down in certain spots. So we'll take a look at now we're up here. That was Flagler Beach. Nice view from there, and you can see that a lot of erosion, and we'll actually get to the issues we're seeing in Flagler Beach in just a moment. But wanted to show you here, this is the Melbourne, West Melbourne area, 192 Mitten Road. Really not seeing many vehicles on the roadways, and that is good news. We want you to stay off the roads. We also have a curfew here in Volusia County, State Road 40 at Nova Road in Ormond Beach, so no one's on the road, and that's some good news for that. We'll talk about causeway closures and bridge closures coming up, but now we'll go back to Beth and Curtis.
All right, thank you so much, Jerry. We'll see you in just a little bit. You're watching Spectrum News 13. Don't go anywhere, everybody. Lots to get to. We'll be right back.
Marine forecast every hour at 21 past the hour.
The following portion of Spectrum News 13 is brought to you by Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm.
No nonsense for small business means everything you need, nothing you don't. You need speed. Spectrum delivers the fastest internet speeds in the nation. You need to stay connected. They give you Spectrum Business Voice with unlimited long distance and tons of added features. You need outstanding value. Get internet at 600 megabits per second for only $49.99 a month and Business Voice for $19.99 a month. Plus, add Spectrum Mobile for just $29.99 a month. That's everything you need. Now, what don't you need?
Nonsense.
No nonsense. Yes, no contracts, no surprise. Internet for only $49.99 and Business Voice for $19.99. And they throw in the no nonsense for free. Call 833-645-0666 and switch to Spectrum Business today.
I would describe myself as a fighter. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. For over 30 years, my fights have been against giants. I fight the powerful for the powerless, and our results speak for themselves. We have recovered billions and billions and billions of dollars for our clients. $1.2 billion in one case alone. I risk my own money in case cause fighting these wrongdoers. If you want a fighter, you can count on me. There's only one Morgan & Morgan for the people.
At Bears Furniture, shop the brands you love for less during our Veterans Day sale. Save 40% plus an extra 10% store-wide, including 10% off all Lexington products. Plus, Bears salutes all veterans with free in-home delivery, like this gorgeous loft bed, only $8.98. Or relax in the living room of your dreams with this luxurious leather sectional at the guaranteed lowest price. We have thousands of items in stock and ready for holiday delivery through Sunday only. Where? Bears.
Central Florida Beyond the Soundbite, a Spectrum News 13 podcast that offers a closer look inside the issues, available now on the Spectrum News app.
Time now is 2:21. Meteorologist Maureen McCann here with Chris Gilson and Mallory Nichols. And here in the overnight hours, we are looking at the winds picking up as Nicole gets closer to land onto the Treasure Coast. But the worst of the impacts so far have been in Brevard County, especially when it comes to this map.
Yeah, when we look at the winds today, we've had winds so far 60, 70 miles per hour. That's resulting likely into some of these power outages, up to 160,000 without power here in Brevard County, up to 500 without power in Volusia County. Also seeing some higher power outages down to the south, where we're a little bit closer to the center of Nicole and portions of Indian River County. So right along the coast is where we're seeing the strongest winds, and that correlates to these power outages that we're getting reports of right now. As we take a look at the radar, there's the center of Nicole. It's about 15 miles to the east of Port St. Lucie. So we're seeing the western side of the eye wall starting to work into portions of Indian River County and St. Lucie County, and also into Brevard County. And around it, those heavier bands of rain starting to set up. And within these heavier bands of rain, that's where we're getting the strongest wind gusts. And as we switch over to the winds, as we continue to point out here, right along the coast, we're getting wind gusts potentially upwards of 80, 85 miles per hour just off the east coast there, Brevard County, right around the Rockledge area, upwards of 65 miles per hour, a little bit farther to the north around the Space Coast, Satellite Beach, 66 mile per hour wind gusts potentially there in portions of Brevard County or just off the coast. Also seeing some of these stronger winds being picked up on Clystrand 13 in Osceola County, where we could have winds around 50 to 60 plus miles per hour. So the strongest winds, Brevard County, Osceola County. We've had wind gust 2 reports up to 60 miles per hour earlier in Volusia County and New Smyrna Beach. So the heaviest rain along I-4 and points to the south and east. Back to the west, we're just seeing some lighter pockets of rain in Ocala and Leesburg. So a little bit closer to the center of Nicole, that's where we have the highest winds at this time. And with the rain, of course, comes to mind the flooding. We're not seeing the amounts of rainfall totals just yet, and we won't get the amounts of rain that we had with Ian. But flooding's still a concern here as Nicole works across the region. With a latest look at the flood stages, let's go back over to Maureen.
Okay, thanks, Chris. Yeah, we've been using this graphic a lot lately, the river flood chart, which had the St. Johns River at Astor. Yesterday it was in moderate flood stage. So these levels haven't completely recovered from Ian, but now with incoming rainfall, and we likely will see some of these river gauges start to climb. We're now into major flood stage for the St. Johns River near Astor. That is moderate flooding near DeLand, and also the Little Wekiva River is getting to be near flood stage. We bring in the hydrograph to show you how the flood levels are projected to be in that major flood stage starting today, and the forecast goes out anywhere to the right of that dotted line, and that keeps us in major flood stage through the weekend. So as we look at the rainfall potential with the futurecast, Chris, the rain is going to be spreading over Central Florida throughout the day, improving during the afternoon as the storm pulls to the north and west.
Yeah, and outside of some showers as we go into Friday, it's looking a lot better through the next 24 hours. We just really have to get through this morning into the afternoon hours. So the worst weather here in Brevard County is going to be between now and about 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. Rainfall 3 to 5+ inches is possible. Wind gusts 65 to 75+ miles per hour, and those winds will be the greatest here over the next few hours. Storm surge, we'll be watching for the storm surge threat yet again as we head toward the morning hours around 8:30, 9 o'clock. That's when we're looking at our next high tide. So we'll be watching that closely too as we head towards sunrise. Now here in Osceola County, we're looking at the worst weather between now and about 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. Could also have some of those stronger wind gusts here because you'll be closer to the center of Nicole. Wind gusts around 55 to 65+ miles per hour. Into Orange County, looking at rainfall of 2 to 4 inches, gusts up to 50 to 60 miles per hour potentially here in Orange County. We've had wind gusts so far close to 40 or around 40 in Orlando. Up towards Seminole County, looking at 2 to 4 inches of rain, gusts up to 50 to 60 miles per hour as far as those winds go. And then back to Lake County around Leesburg and Claremont and Groveland, winds potentially around 40 to 50 miles per hour with some stronger gusts. Into Sumter County, you'll likely see the heavier rain kind of late morning into the early afternoon, and we're looking at 2 to 4 inches of rain there. Marion County, 2 to 4 inches, gusts upwards of 50 to 60 miles per hour. And then into Flagler County, could watch that storm surge threat yet again as we head toward the morning hours, 3 to 5 feet. We've seen the Flagler Beach Pier and all the surge that we had on Wednesday. That will return, unfortunately, as we go into the morning hours of this morning on Thursday. And Daytona Beach, New Smyrna Beach, looking at those higher wind gusts. Storm surge also will be a threat as we head toward high tide. So we'll continue to watch that high tide cycle by the morning hours, and we'll see what that does to our coast as we head toward daylight. But a lot of rain still to come, and also those high winds. We'll continue to watch that along our east coast.
All right, Chris Gilson, we appreciate you. And of course, we're going to be here throughout the morning, as well as Chris and the rest of our experts, weather experts, bringing you the very latest as we continue to cover Hurricane Nicole.
Stay with us. We'll be right back, everybody. Live pictures on your screen as we continue to monitor the worsening conditions across the area. We'll be right back.
Proudly celebrating 25 years as part of the Central Florida community. Spectrum News 13, exclusively on Spectrum.
At Wusthof Brevard Hospice, we strive to be more than an organization of hospice professionals. Our pledge to you is to be patient and family-centered, quality-driven, and community-minded. Transitions can be challenging. We provide the resources and support you need right in the comfort of your own home. Our highly skilled team will design a care plan individualized for you or your loved one. Wusthof Brevard Hospice, your home, your journey, our care.
Hi, it's Steve with Slugabug. I'm at Family Promise of Brevard with Tara Pagliarini. Tara, tell us about your organization.
Family Promise of Brevard and Slugabug understand the value of keeping families together in their homes, which is why we work so hard with our community to prevent and end family homelessness. Our programs empower and elevate families to ensure that every child in Brevard County has a safe and stable place to call home. Together, we can end family homelessness.
I just kind of got in that routine, just going to work, sitting behind a desk.
Spending too much time on the couch, moving too slow in life.
I knew I had to make a lifestyle change, so I tried Nugenix.
Transformation was pretty awesome.
To get your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T, text PLAY to 369-369. This man-boosting formula is powered by Testofen, a patented key ingredient clinically researched to help increase testosterone levels, to help you feel stronger, leaner, with more energy and drive. That's PLAY to 369.
News everywhere, but that doesn't make it easy to understand everything going on. How much of a news expert are you? Find out by taking the Spectrum News Challenge. Yes, it is all about answering those questions.
Let's go.
Play along or root for your local team as high school students compete to separate news fact from news fiction. True is correct, Team Texas. This is becoming a really exciting game. If you think you know the news, then it is time to take the challenge. The Spectrum News Challenge on News 13.
Spectrum News 13 is brought to you by Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm.
Sheer storm season not done with us yet, unfortunately. We're dealing right now with the impacts of Hurricane Nicole, and we're seeing it and feeling it across the area.
Right now, you've come to the right place for complete coverage of the storm's impact.
We'll be keeping you informed throughout the overnight hours into the morning, because it is starting now that we're starting to really see the worst impacts of the storm.
Yeah, our goal is to keep you prepared and not scared. You're watching Spectrum News 13 right now at 2:30 here on this Thursday morning.
We have so many reporters out in the field right now. We're going to be checking in with them throughout the overnight hours, because things are definitely getting worse as we speak.
They sure are, and we are here to put your trust in us, because we are here to give you live team coverage throughout the morning as we continue to monitor this system.
Yeah, at the bottom of your screen, there's all the information you need. So if you're dipping in and out throughout the night, you can actually see what's happening county by county breakdown. Okay, time for the forecast. Where is Nicole right now? How fast is it moving? Let's get the latest details right now from, there they are, Maureen McCann and Chris Gilson. So how fast is the storm moving right now, guys?
It's moving to the west-northwest at 14 miles per hour, Beth, and it looks like the wall of the eye is starting to come ashore here in portions of Indian River County and St. Lucie County.
And we were just saying here before we came on air, Mallory Nichols made note of how the eye is fairly large. So when it moves onshore, conditions may quiet down for you. If you are in southern Brevard County, once the eye moves past, though, then the winds pick up. So it's not over yet. You don't want to be fooled by that. You know, people who have experienced being in the eye of a hurricane may know that it starts to calm down, but then it ramps right back up again.
Yeah, and there's the eye right there, right over Vero Beach. We're seeing the western fringe of it working into Mico as well. And as we take a look at we'll measure out the width of the eye here, about 40 to 50 miles approximately here, just based on Clystron 13. That's how wide that eye is. So that's why we could see a little bit of quiet weather kind of move through. But again, you don't want to let your guard down as the storm continues to come ashore. We are looking at some of the heavier rainfall totals or heavier rainfall bands right now, kind of setting up into portions of Orange County and into Brevard County. We've had a lot of strong wind gust reports in Brevard County along the coast, 60 to 70 miles per hour. That's going to continue to be the case over the next several hours. The one silver lining, Maureen, that we've been discussing too is that we haven't seen any rotation. Typically when we're looking at a tropical storm or a hurricane, we're tracking that tornado threat, but the tornado risk seems to be pretty low at this point.
Right, it's not zero, it's low, but yeah, other systems we've seen certainly a lot more rotation. It's tropical storm force winds that are covering a wide area with this, so those hurricane force winds are compact, but the area-wide threat of tropical storm force winds is something we're going to face throughout the morning. And remember, landfall is defined as when the center of the eye makes it on shore, so that's what we're waiting for official word, but either way, wherever it makes landfall, those impacts are being felt all across Central Florida.
And we will break down the hazards coming up and time out Nicole's track across Central Florida in this half hour. Beth and Curtis.
All right, thank you so much. Katie Strite joining us right now live from Daytona Beach as we continue our live team coverage. Hello to you.
Good morning. Well, you can see and hear that the wind and rain is picking up right now. We're in South Daytona where many of these folks have evacuated to, and as we were driving down the strip of hotels, you saw parking lots full like the one behind me, as well as just no vacancy signs. So folks are still in the South Daytona area. But just because you're not right on the beach does not mean you're in the clear. I want to show you, the wind has been so heavy right now that it has tipped over something as strong as a bench right over there. And so when we've seen some folks maybe walking their dogs or riding their bikes, we're not in the clear just yet. We're seeing gusts of wind and definitely significant rainfall in this area. So if you're out and about, now is not the time, and make sure you're seeking shelter and staying safe. Live in South Daytona, Katie Strite, Spectrum News.
All right, Katie, thank you so much for that live report. We want to go now to Brevard County, where our Will Robinson Smith is live there now. Will, how are things looking over there?
Yeah, Curtis, very gusty here in Titusville. We're just across the river from Kennedy Space Center, and we talked a little bit earlier in the morning about the rocket for the Artemis 1 mission sitting out there at Pad 39B. Just want to give an update for folks that are curious of what's happening with that at this time. The National Weather Service does have some monitoring systems that are out there at the launch pad, and we can tell you right now they've seen gusts of about 73 miles per hour or 63 knots. We do know that the rocket is rated for about 74.5 knots, so it can withstand winds of about 10-15 miles per hour stronger before it starts to break that threshold of being in the risky category. Obviously, a lot of eyes on that mission and wanting to make sure that rocket makes it through this storm upright and not damaged. That's something we're going to be keeping a close eye on. Here throughout the rest of Brevard County, you can see the wind gusts still very strong here in Titusville and really throughout the Space Coast. We know that power outages have been an issue, as we mentioned earlier in the morning. About more than 10,000 customers are without power at this point.
All right, we're going to be checking in with Will Robinson Smith, and that's the intensity of the storm that we're going to start to see.
Yes.
Some of the signals being impacted. But we continue our team coverage now with other crews.
Yeah, we do have right now. We want to go live to our Nicole Griffin. She is standing by live now in Volusia County and Port Orange. Nicole, how are things there in your area?
Curtis and Yvette, things are deteriorating quickly. I mean, it is so gusty out here, probably the gustiest that we've seen all night. We're at Riverwalk Park right off the Halifax River here in Port Orange. And if you take a look, the river is just so angry. It has really damaged the docks here. You can see them in the distance just bobbing around, and it is causing huge swells here as it comes up to the park. We did see just a couple minutes ago people stopping by to try to fish. This is definitely not the time to try to do that. It is very dangerous. Just a couple minutes ago we watched this palm tree go down right here. So even though you're not beachside on the mainland, things are getting very serious and very dangerous. So just keep that in mind if you're thinking about going outside right now. Don't do it. For now, reporting live in Port Orange, Nicole Griffin, Spectrum News.
The rage, the force, it is so scary and impressive. Okay, thank you so much for that. Let's go ahead and check in live as we continue our live team coverage with Dylan Lyons. You're in New Smyrna Beach, and things are definitely starting to get interesting. All right, we're just going to give him a sec. Yep. Okay, we're going to keep trying there. If we can tell... Yep, if we can tell the photographer to show us a little bit of the scene while we try and figure out the mic situation, we can go ahead and stick with the picture. Beautiful. Okay, thank you so much to our photographer who's out there. You see that Statue of Liberty in the distance and to the left. Wow. That water really getting choppy and really getting intense, which is what he's been describing all night long.
I know, and it definitely shows you exactly what they're dealing with, those weather conditions out there.
Okay, at the bottom of your screen, constant information that's being put in. In the meantime, we ask you to keep it here on Spectrum News 13 as we continue to assess Nicole's impact across the state. There's Chris Gilson showing us. Hey, Chris, as I toss it to you, I am just in awe of how wide, right, the wind field is for this particular hurricane.
Yeah, it stretches up from basically the Carolinas all the way down toward the Fort Myers area with the tropical storm force wind potential extending out 485 miles from the center of Nicole. The actual eye of Nicole is coming ashore in portions of Indian River County down towards St. Lucie. We'll take a look at the rain and time out Nicole's path across central Florida when we come back.
Have you been injured at work? At Van Dingen & Law, we are the workers' comp experts that you need and deserve. We don't aim to be the biggest, just the best. Call 407 Workers now. Workers' comp, it's all we do.
You probably know Spectrum Internet has speeds up to 1 gig.
I do.
Well, you work here, but have you heard about Spectrum Advanced Wi-Fi? Once you're connected, you're protected because it comes with state-of-the-art security, like this. but for the internet. You can let me in now. And it can handle up to 200 devices.
200?
Basically, Spectrum built you a better internet. These guys are very, very good.
I mean, it is a team effort.
Back to work.
It's not...
Spectrum Advanced Wi-Fi, only available on a better kind of internet. Spectrum Internet.
At Bears Furniture, shop the brands you love for less during our Veterans Day sale. Save 40% plus an extra 10% store-wide, including 10% off all Lexington products. Plus, Bears salutes all veterans with free in-home delivery, like this gorgeous loft bed, only $8.98. Or relax in the living room of your dreams with this luxurious leather sectional at the guaranteed lowest price. We have thousands of items in stock and ready for holiday delivery through Sunday only. Where? Bears.
This season, it's the perfect time to catch a great deal at your Central Florida Acura dealers. Like the new 2022 Acura MDX. It's designed to thrill you and your family. Acura's premium performance SUV. The 2022 Acura RDX is the perfect balance of style, power, and high tech. And check out the 2023 Acura Integra with power you can feel and control. Don't let these great catches pass you by. So catch a great deal at your Central Florida Acura dealers today.
Have you been injured at work? At Van Dingen & Law, we are the workers' comp experts that you need and deserve. We don't aim to be the biggest, just the best. Call 407-WORKERS now. Workers' comp, it's all we do.
Spectrum News 13 is brought to you by Gary Yeomans Ford. The lowest pricing and largest selection. Florida says, go Yeomans.
Hurricane Nicole beginning to make landfall here along the East Coast, and we are dealing with some heavy rain and gusty winds here as it does so across Central Florida. Some of the heaviest rain just east of I-4. Right now it's a Category 1 hurricane with winds of 75 miles per hour. Movement is to the west-northwest at 14 miles per hour. The wind field, as we mentioned just a moment ago, extends out 485 miles. The actual hurricane force winds of 74, 75 miles per hour, that's closer to the center of the storm, but we're seeing the yellow. That's the tropical storm force wind, so stretching from southeastern portions of North Carolina into Charleston, South Carolina, all the way down to the Fort Myers area. That's where we have that tropical storm force wind potential. Here's a look a little bit closer to home here in Orlando, Kissimmee, Melbourne, contending with that heavier rain. Now, this is not going to be the rain that we picked up with Ian, but this is the chance for about 3 to 5 inches of rain in spots, especially east of I-4. There's the eye of Nicole, and you can see the western side of the eye wall heading onshore right now, so we'll wait for the exact center to move onshore here over the next hour likely or so. So some of the heaviest rain and where we're seeing some of the strongest winds setting up in portions of Brevard County. And we'll go into Melbourne, stretching up toward Titusville and Rockledge. This is where we have the heavier bands setting up. And as we go in and take a look at that wind potential, we're seeing the brighter shades of greens here. That's where we're looking at winds around 50 to 60, close to 70 miles per hour in spots right around Cape Canaveral, Rockledge, and Satellite Beach. And we had wind gust reports earlier of 60 to 70 miles per hour there in Brevard County. Also tracking some of the strongest winds into Osceola County. So we're looking at those winds potentially over 50 miles per hour, if not a bit higher here in the extreme southeastern portion of Osceola County into Brevard County. So we're going to have the highest winds working ashore here as Nicole comes ashore over the next hour or so. So going back to Clydestrand 13, we have the rain along the I-4 corridor, a little bit steadier to the east of Orlando, and then back to the west in Ocala and Leesburg, looking at some pockets of lighter rain. So definitely the heavier activity right along the coast and closer to the center of Nicole. Here's a look at some of those wind gust reports that we had earlier. Melbourne Airport reporting a 67 mile per hour wind gust, Patrick Space Force Base 66 mile per hour wind gust, and New Smyrna up to 60 miles per hour. The gust right now as we approach 3 o'clock in the morning, close to 60 still there in Melbourne. Our winds have come up here in Orlando. Earlier they were gusting around 30 to 40 miles per hour. Now we're closer to 50 miles per hour, 41 mile per hour wind gust in Sanford. So the winds will continue. The rain will continue to increase here as we head toward the morning hours. And then as Nicole continues to track to the west and northwest, we'll see it starting to let up a bit maybe by noon, unless you're a little bit farther to the north into portions of Marion and Flagler counties. And then by the evening hours, outside of some isolated showers, we'll start to clear things out. So really it's between now and mid to late morning that we'll see the greatest impact. And as we head toward the morning hours, we're looking at another high tide cycle. So storm surge is going to still be a big concern at high tide, which is around 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning. So we'll be watching for those impacts as we go into Thursday afternoon. Again, north and west of I-4, you'll see the better chance for some of the rain continuing. And then as we go into the overnight hours, we'll start to see the conditions improve, and the weekend is looking a lot better. We'll have more details on the hazards and what we're watching with Nicole as it continues to track across the region coming up in less than 10 minutes. Beth and Curtis.
All right, we appreciate you, Chris. Thank you so much for that report. We'll be checking back in with you in just a bit.
One of the areas that we've been watching very closely is a certain part of Seminole County. I know you know the area very well.
Very well, definitely. Yeah.
And Jesse Canales is actually there this morning.
He is there. We want to go ahead and bring him into this right now. Jerry, I should say, Jesse, can you tell us exactly what you're seeing out there right now? I know that when we first came to you, the water very choppy out there.
Yeah, Lake Monroe is crazy right now.
Yeah, sure is, Beth, and I'm sure you know this because I know you were here about 2 hours ago and nothing has changed. In fact, the water just keeps getting choppier. The wind keeps picking up, and you can see the waves continue to crash along this seawall, this walkway where a lot of people come out and enjoy their walks looking at Lake Monroe. And Lake Monroe and the St. John Rivers continues to be an area of concern here in Seminole County because about 1 month ago during Hurricane Ian, a lot of the water rose and flooded a lot of Sanford, and that's something that Seminole County leaders are keeping an eye on. They don't expect massive flooding like we saw during Hurricane Ian, but they do expect some flooding. And the water here at Lake Monroe and St. John's River will continue to rise even after the storm. That's going to impact a lot of the progress that we saw St. John River make in the past few weeks since Hurricane Ian. For now, reporting live in Sanford, Jesse Canales, Spectrum News 13.
All right, Jesse, thank you so much for that live report. You know, just seeing that, you just get an idea of just how intense this storm is.
It is. Much respect to Mother Nature. Jerry Hume joining us now, coming back into the mix. Jerry, I know that the roads are pretty much clear because people are staying home.
Yeah, that is the good news out there. The bad news, we are dealing with those slick, wet road conditions. This is the beach line here near US 1 in Brevard County. We've just seen the rain come down in sheets out here. Can also see it here, I-95 near St. John's Heritage Parkway. This is southern Brevard County. Again, no vehicles on the roadway. That's good news out there. We'll show you here in Volusia County, wind really whipping this camera. Again, we've got the curfew, so no vehicles on the roads. That's good news. We've got the weather overlay on right now. Sensors indicating those slowdowns for that drive on 95. Also, we have activated our emergency indicators, which show us that the causeways are closed here in New Smyrna Beach. Causeways also are closed here in Daytona Beach. You can see all of them here. We also have that beach erosion in Flagler County has A1A blocked here right now for a good portion from 18th Street down to 10th Street. You know, the big question is those causeways, and they're closed in Volusia County, but they're open in Brevard County. In fact, they don't close the causeways until after the storm. That's so FDOT can inspect them. We, of course, will continue to watch this throughout the morning. Curtis and Beth, back to you.
All right, Jerry, thank you so much. And, of course, we are continuing to monitor everything that Hurricane Nicole is bringing our way.
Yeah, we've got live pictures. This is Flagler Beach. You can see the pounding waves just eroding away at that shoreline. When the sun comes up, we're really truly going to see how much has been washed away. You're watching Spectrum News 13. We invite you to download the free Spectrum News app so you can get the very latest on the forecast. Don't go anywhere. Our severe weather experts are coming back in less than 2 minutes.
Attractions Insider, a weekly Spectrum News podcast with the inside scoop on your favorite Florida attractions. Available now on the Spectrum News app.
Spectrum. Tomorrow's scientists through Project Weather. Congratulations to the 2022 scholarship winners for their dedication and achievement. We are now accepting applications for the 2023 Project Weather scholarships. If you're a high school senior who excels in science, head to our website to find out how to apply. Spectrum News 13, exclusively on Spectrum.
Total Gym includes everything you need to get into the best shape of your life.
for every body, at any age. It works every muscle group, including your core, using your own body weight as resistance. Customers love Total Gym because it's fun, fast, and effective. Nothing delivers full body results like Total Gym. And right now you can try it risk-free and enjoy special savings too. Get on-demand workouts free shipping, and more. Call now.
I always knew I wanted to be a meteorologist. I called our local TV meteorologist and said, I want to do what you're doing. I want to share that love of weather with other people. We are immersed in it every day with Weather on the Ones. Whenever I'm out in the schools, I talk about how math helps us explain everything that happens in the atmosphere. Sunshine, blue skies. I love taking advantage of all of that. I'm doing what I said I wanted to do when I grew up. This was really the only path for me.
Attention! Have you or a loved one been diagnosed with cancer after using Zantac or other heartburn medications for several months? You may be entitled to compensation. Call Zantac Justice now for a free legal case review. The FDA has warned that Zantac and other medications containing heartburn drug ranitidine may be contaminated with cancer-causing agent NDMA. Consult your physician prior to discontinuing any use of medication.
Please call 800-379-7881.
Hi everyone, welcome back. Meteorologist Maureen McCann here with Chris Gilson and Mallory Nichols, 2:51. We're getting ready for Nicole to make landfall along the Treasure Coast, but those strong winds pushing into especially Brevard County, and this will soon be moving more inland, and that has caused power outage numbers to climb. We're seeing it on Class 13.
Yeah, we have power outage reports up to 160,000 there in Brevard County, and also new reports in Orange County now. 800 without power in Orange County, 500 in Volusia County, and that stretches into Polk County as well. Into Marion County, looking at about 100 potentially without power right now. So the power outages continue to go up, especially along the coast, and Brevard County has been the focus for some of the strongest winds. And as we take a look at those wind gusts right now, we're looking at those winds gusting close to still 60 miles per hour there in Melbourne. We did have a wind gust up to 70 miles per hour earlier in Brevard County. Winds also picking up here in Orange County in Orlando up to 47 miles per hour, 41 in Sanford, and notice Daytona Beach also reporting a wind gust of 49 miles per hour. Lighter winds, relatively speaking, to the north in Ocala, Leesburg, and Palm Coast. Those winds gusting around 25 to 30 miles per hour. So the focus for the strongest winds are right here along the coast, which aligns with some of the power outages that we're seeing, and that's also where we have the heavier bands of rain setting up along I-4 and points to the east. Now, we were talking about storm surge a lot on Wednesday. We saw what it was doing in portions of Volusia County and Flagler County, and storm surge is going to be another issue as we head toward daybreak. And with more on that, let's send it back over to Maureen.
Yeah, we saw what the effects of yesterday's tide cycles did along our east coast. So the next high tide cycle in a general time frame is going to be during the 8 o'clock hour on Thursday. We're in a low tide cycle now. We're coming out of it, and the tide will be climbing. So that means we can anticipate those water levels to be coming up abnormally high, and that can lead to overwash on the roads. It will likely wash out a lot of the beach dunes with the erosion taking place, and we saw that yesterday, and that's likely to occur again today. Claystron 13 picking up on those wave heights. I'll plot some of them here in the nearshore waters. Those are between 9 and 12 feet. Of course, they get higher when you go off in the Gulf Stream and especially near the center of low pressure. So that's why a general surge forecast of 3 to 6 feet with locally higher amounts is projected along our coast, all due to Nicole. And again, Chris, that is just one of the hazards with us facing Nicole making landfall very shortly here, because remember, we define when the center of low pressure makes its way onshore, the center of that eye. So that's what we're waiting with Claystron 13 and waiting for that official report to come in.
Yeah, you can see the outer western side of the eye wall starting to work into portions of Indian River County, into southern Brevard County, around Mitco, and around the Fort Pierce area. But we have to wait for the actual center of the eye to come ashore to see where it will make landfall, and this will likely go down as the latest landfall along the east coast of Florida on record for November. So we are looking at this making landfall shortly, probably within the next hour or so we'll get the official word, but around it, heavy rain, gusty winds, especially in Brevard County and even into Osceola County, could have those higher wind gusts around 60 to 70 miles per hour. So that's going to be the other hazard that we watch, will be those winds as Nicole comes ashore. And then as we head toward the early morning hours, 8, 9 o'clock, we're looking at the storm surge yet again, 3 to 6 feet off the coast of Brevard County. Into Osceola County, looking at 3 to 5 inches of rain. Between now and about 8, 9 o'clock will be the worst weather here in Osceola County. Into Orange County, we have the winds picking up closer to 50 miles per hour. That will be the case through the next several hours. And then as we head toward about 9, 10 o'clock, we should start to see the winds start to let up a bit. As we take a look at Seminole County, looking at rainfall around 2 to 4 inches. We'll be watching the St. Johns River Basin here through Seminole County, into Volusia County, and also into Lake County. As we go through the morning hours, rainfall 2 to 4 inches in Lake County, gusts up to 50 to 60 miles per hour. And then into Sumter County, you'll likely see the later onset to some of the heavier rain as we head towards sunrise and lasting into the early afternoon. Could have wind gusts around 50 to 60 miles per hour. Then into Marion County, looking at 2 to 4 inches of rain. Again, later in the morning into the early afternoon, you'll see the impacts kind of pick up a bit more there, a little bit farther to the north and west. Into Flagler County, we had a lot of activity along the coast, unfortunately, with the storm surge on Wednesday. That will be the case as we head towards sunrise. For your Thursday, storm surge 3 to 5 feet, wind gusts around 40 to 50 plus miles per hour. Volusia County looking at winds around 50 to 60 miles per hour, storm surge at 3 to 6 feet. So we still have a ways to go with Nicole, but it is starting to make landfall here just to our south, and we'll break that down coming up as we get another update coming up at the top of the hour. Curtis.
All right, thank you so much, Chris. New video out of Melbourne shows what appears to be a transformer explosion in the distance. Take a look at this. Viewer Aaron Miller sent this to us just a matter of minutes ago. You can see the sky lighting up over the trees. Now, according to Florida Power and Light, as of this hour, nearly 17,000 people are without power. That's in Brevard County. So, all right, we're going to have more continuing coverage. Our crews fan out across the region here on Spectrum News 13. And you can stay with us and trust us to bring you the very latest. And you can also download the free Spectrum News app for all the information right in the palm of your hand as we show you a live look of the Flagler Beach Pier. Stay with us. You're watching Spectrum News 13.